Hi, everybody. We think we've worked out our audio issue. We're hoping so.
Well, we found a sticking plaster to put on the problem.
We had an audio issue going on?
I'll be right back. Just need to get a drink.
I probably didn't know.
Nick's going to go get some wine.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think, Jeff, you were out. Nick has had an interesting afternoon. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I wonder how his arm is. He's been having arm issues.
Well, I thought he said he went bowling and then he drank a bottle of wine.
Oh, you did hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Didn't know if you were around.
Yep, I was here. And that's when I went, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And he had an argument with Julie.
Yeah.
Yikes. Oh, I guess I shouldn't talk about that. We're on air. Oh, well, we're all family here.
But everything's fine now. It's all good. It's all okay.
Yeah.
You want to do any testing of Roger's audio or anything, Jeff?
Yeah, let's see if I can
Waiting?
break it with doing that. Okay.
Hey, Neil.
What's that
Hi,
sound?
everybody that I didn't have a chance to say hi to. Ludger, iHall Boxes.
Did you hear a radio runner?
No?
Nope.
Negative.
Great.
He's echoing somewhere off in the distance.
Yeah, really.
No, he's not. There's no echo. No,
That'd be
nothing.
great.
No, nothing.
Okay, let me see why. You don't hear that.
No.
Nope.
What? It's playing. Oh, man.
It's playing somewhere. If Roger plays in the woods, somewhere in the woods, and no one hears it, is it
Did
really,
he really
playing?
play?
Yeah.
Is he alive?
He's on holidays.
Well, actually, he said he was back from vacay.
Oh, he's back from
Yeah.
vacay. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see what we've done here, Jeffrey.
Oh, I guess I have to kind of get my slides ready. I've kind of been shirking there. Sorry, we're all a little bit.
Yeah, we're still not quite out of the woods because for some reason my sound playing app is not coming through.
It's on break.
On spring break.
Yep.
Let me do this. And let me do this.
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
No, I'm not ready. Time for you to go to bed, Nick.
Oh, okay. Can I? Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We can't hear any of his audios, Nick, now. We don't have any echoing, but the audio's not playing. So.
Yeah.
Hi,
don't
Donna
hear that?
Rose.
From one end to the other.
Yeah.
So you still don't hear that.
No.
Negative.
Hi, Mazoos. We're cursed, I tell you, cursed.
We
Yeah.
are tonight. Good Lord. I mean, this is so unusual. StreamYard has been pretty reliable for us all these years.
Well, now I think.
Well, this is I mean, I don't want to say it like this, but this is a Jeff problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it's.
What do you say?
No, I'm saying Nick was talking about StreamYard, and I said if we're having soundboard issues, that's not a StreamYard issue anymore.
Well, the echoing was at first, but we
Yeah,
figured
but
that
you
out.
weren't here for all the echoing fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Something is definitely playing according to iHall Boxes.
Yeah,
Oh.
he did say you can hear that, but not.
Oh, they're hearing it.
They can hear it. You guys can't.
What?
Okay, that's bizarre.
That is weird.
What?
Maybe it is a StreamYard issue. I retract my statement, Jeff. I apologize.
How can it be delivering it to our audience, but not to
Okay.
us? That doesn't
Okay, everybody on the stream, on the
Reboot your computer.
chat. Let's. I'm going to play something, and I know it's going to take you for a few minutes to.
Oh, iHall Boxes was just pulling our legs.
Oh, he was.
That's not funny.
Oh, God. Where's my bloody gun?
Yeah.
Funny. You son of a gun.
That was Hey,
I tell you
Micah.
what,
Well played.
Hey,
I could
Tim.
phone a SWAT team. I know where you live.
This is no good if we can't hear. If we can't hear the.
Can't hear any audios.
Okay.
No, that's good. Make it a bit
Could
of a
I
joke.
then perhaps switch computers again and see if that helps?
Okay.
Are you going to try a
know.
PC this time?
Well, no. It never happened.
He's not going that far.
He's not going to solve the problem. He's just going to try to.
Okay, I'm gonna do that because we're not gonna be able to do the show without. Obviously, you have to hear the sound of the videos and the ATC and the audio feedback. It's just kind of something you need to hear.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
can't add all of that in post.
So you all just have fun. What did you say?
You can't add all of it in post.
No, I can't. Yeah. Now you just pretend to have a reaction.
We'll
to that.
we'll just talk a little and then not talk and then talk a little.
You can say stuff like, "Well, that was really interesting."
That was
funny.
that was
That was a
scary.
great point.
That was funny.
Those pilots need to be disciplined.
Yeah.
ATC. Anyway, go do what you need to do. How long are you gonna? Well, we don't know.
See
We have-
ya.
Just a minute. Yeah, just a minute. I'm coming over. Oh, here I am. No, here I am now. Just let us know how you're progressing, and we'll sort of keep people posted. Okay. Okay. You think this is going to be like minutes or half an hour or? Okay. All right. Okay.
Sounds good. And yeah, Micah, that wasn't me flying over your house 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, Jeff thinks he'll be about 5 to 10 minutes, everybody. So, Nick, you can take a snooze. Nick Anderson.
Nick was like, can do.
I thought you were talking to me. I was going to say.
Nick Anderson, how's your arm doing? Is it better? Not great. Uh-huh.
It's very average, thanks.
Very
Liz.
average. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's
Not great.
it comes and goes. When it comes, it's really bad. When it goes, it's lovely.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We'll see. I've got some more physio coming up, so we'll see. You know, the guy put what felt like a pneumatic drill,
Ooh.
a handheld, a small pneumatic drill
Oh.
on my elbow, which was bloody painful.
But after the fact, it felt good?
Well, he says it's doing some good, yes. And,
He says so.
He's just telling you that to make you feel good.
yeah, exactly. It's some kind of sound shocking thing that helps break
Oh, yeah.
up my
An
elbow and
ultrasound
turn it
thing?
into dust. We'll see. Yeah. Well, yeah, I like ultrasound, but much louder and clunkier. I think it's just I don't know, some kind of Victorian torture device. Have you seen the movie about Mr. Kellogg and his
Oh, yes.
Victorian
Yeah.
health farm?
Yes, at Battle
Yeah,
Creek,
it-
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some of the devices you see on
Right.
there, and it just
Yeah.
it goes clack 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 clack. It makes a really loud noise, and he points it at my elbow, and it feels like it's rattling it to death. Anyway,
Hey, Rick, tell everybody in the chat what you were telling us where you were yesterday at LAX, near LAX.
Oh, the Proud Bird, that restaurant there. Restaurant, food hall, brewery, everything. It's great, and it's got a great view of the landing traffic on 25 left and 25 right. Although
Oh,
25
right.
left mostly. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
And they brew their own beer?
No, they don't brew their own beer, but they have a bunch of local, I guess,
Breweries. Got it.
brewery stuff there. But it's
What-
really it's great stuff.
whereabouts you staying when you're in LA, Rick?
I stayed down in Torrance.
All right, okay. We
Yeah.
used to stay there at one point.
Yeah, and actually, this hotel here, it's nothing but airline crews.
Oh,
Interesting.
right, okay.
Yeah,
We quite liked it down there. I forget I think we were in a Hilton down there. Had a big fire pit out the back and in amongst all the pools and things, and it was lovely. It was one of the few destinations where the 747 crews and the Airbus crews all were there together.
Oh.
So we
Okay, great.
you know, it was nice to chat to those guys.
Yeah,
'cause,
it's
we
the
didn't
same.
mix much.
Must be the same hotel because there's a big fire pit right outside.
All right, okay.
And it's a Hilton property. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool,
we have
huh?
the
Jeff's on his
Lufthansa.
way back, everybody. He's on his way back.
The Lufthansa people stay here, and KLM, and who else stays? Oh, Turkish
Yeah.
Airlines, and a bunch of people.
Yeah, that sounds favourite. Then we used to walk out across a huge, great big freeway to get to the local mall, which was, you know, Torrance Mall. I don't know, walking distance.
Yeah, the
But,
Delamo Fashion Square, I think it is.
Sounds good. But
Yeah.
then one of our crews got attacked on the way home, and you know, all the cabin crew went up in arms,
Ooh.
and we pulled out of there. Ended up in Pasadena, which is quite nice, but a long drive.
Yeah, Pasadena's a long drive.
Mm.
Pasadena's a long, and LA traffic is just terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for our arrival time, but it's still a long way. And some of
What
those,
time would you guys fly in usually?
it was mid-afternoon,
Okay.
so you know you get there as the sun was starting to go down. It was nice.
Yeah. Well, because yesterday I saw two BA 777s back to back, like one after the other, literally. They were in
Oh,
sequence.
Did you see any Virgin planes?
There's
No,
always
actually,
Virgin there.
I didn't actually. Now that you mention it,
Nothing but 350s and 330s nowadays. All
Yeah,
changed.
sadly.
No Boeing's in the fleet at all.
Pretty amazing around big airports like that,
Oh,
like Heathrow.
Except Dreamliners.
Is he
I was
back?
gonna
Sorry,
say.
Liz?
He's back. I was just going to say how many rooms are taken up by flight crew around those big airports.
No,
Pretty-
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, a bunch. Absolute bunch.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Hello, Jeff.
Oh, you're. No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna say.
I know what you're going to say.
I was wondering because I said hello earlier and you guys just kept on talking.
Do you want to play Roger and see if that works?
Well, hang on. Let me
Oh.
before I do that.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
trying to load up the Reaper DAW.
Load up, load
and
up,
it's,
load up with
not-
rubber bullets.
Doesn't look like it's behaving.
Oh, behave.
Application not responding. Okay, force quit. Try this again. But I will, in the meantime, play Roger. And this is from the previous show.
You're listening to the
Yes.
Pilot Guy Show.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, seems like
That
really loud
works.
in my ear. Is that
Yeah, I'll be right back. Hang on.
how's the volume for you all?
It's a little low.
A little low?
As are you.
Huh?
You're a little quiet.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm not happy. Okay, automatically adjust mic volume. Try that. But I did not have echo cancellation on.
Well, that's good. No,
Oh.
no echoing's happening, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Let's see what else. Okay, let me see. Get this darn audio hijack thing to reload.
Okay.
Come on, fingers crossed.
How am I doing? Am I echoing? I've just turned
No.
it off.
No, not at all. No.
Ooh.
Why are we seeing the little hotspot icon up there on the screen? A little, the little internet thing. Oh no, there it goes. Now it's gone.
I don't know what you were talking about.
Right next to the eye that says 11 on the YouTube screen, there was a little, the 3 arcs that looks like that was showing. I don't know where it was coming from, but anyway.
Huh. I don't know.
Yes, Paul Verhagen says you are low in volume.
Okay, well, hang on. I'll fix that hopefully in a minute. Let me.
Yeah, we're only 15 minutes late. This is nothing.
Yeah, I know. Well, where's 6:15? Come on. Okay, open project. And find 6:15. Ugh. Hasn't updated it. Okay, well, let me just do then this. Stop. 6:14, and then
Hi, Sambo Log. This is 6:15, yeah?
Yeah, I had 6:15 set up on the other machine, and I guess it's not transferring over to this machine, so I have.
So do you have to set up all your videos and everything again?
No, looks
Oh,
like
okay, good.
that's shared via
Keynote?
iCloud.
Good.
In the meantime, let me turn it up a little bit to see if I'm
That's better.
volume for you all.
Yeah.
That better?
Speak a little bit more,
Testing,
please.
1, 2,
Keep
3.
going.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good.
Why is Reaper? Reaper is just like.
Nick Camacho thinks his webcam just died.
Oh, great!
Yeah, just so you know.
What the hell? Everything. is
Sorry,
just-
Jordy. Oh, sorry, Jordy.
What?
Pardon?
I
Who's
think
that?
I think we're still hearing his audio somehow.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think it's just the camera mic.
What happened here?
Yeah, it's not your normal microphone, and we don't see any video.
Yeah, I think like the USB bus on my computer just died.
Oh, nice!
Oh, great. Yeah, that's perfect.
No, everything is just working perfectly.
Tickety boo.
Gee.
Yeah. So
Just tickety boo.
let me just
You
see.
couldn't have done that when you were on one of those unending meetings. You
Yes,
do,
exactly.
Nick.
All right, there. Is that microphone better?
Yes.
Yep.
Still no
Okay, so
video.
that's working. Why is the camera still not working?
Oh,
Ah,
there it
there it
is.
No,
got it.
now we see you.
Oh, look. Yeah, turn it off.
Maybe by the time Steffi gets home, everything will be working.
I hope
Either
so.
that or the wheels will fall
she's
off.
on,
One of the
she's
two.
on her way. She's on her way.
Oh my goodness.
You definitely sound better, Nick, Jeff.
Do I? A little.
Oh, but Mike is
volume-wise?
saying there's no change. It's just as low as always. It was.
Well, I don't know what to do about it. That's the next problem I'll tackle. The one that I'm trying to tackle right now is the program that I use for recording all this nonsense
Okay.
is not working.
That's not good.
This is
Are
not
we
fun.
having fun yet?
No.
No.
Funyuns.
Funyuns, I know. He's got a whole box of them there. Break out the Funyuns. I think the Funyuns are lining up for this show. I
Yeah,
have to
really.
say. Yeah.
Maybe I need to move that box. Get rid of it.
Yes. It's cursing things. So Jeff has some news he's
on.
going to want to share with everybody, I think.
Some what?
News. Oh, Steffi's hungry now. She's in the chat room. She's hungry.
What the hell? Why is this not working? I don't like it. Okay. I know what to do. I'll be back.
Okay. He's
All
going
right.
again.
We don't believe him, do we?
No, we really don't.
No. So is Steffi on her way home?
She is. She is home.
Okay,
And
great.
she's in the chat room, so you could address her.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when she gets here, I'm going to go to bed.
All right.
Sounds like a
You
plan.
be like that.
I'm afraid I'm a bit weary today.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you've got a big match tomorrow.
First decent one of the season.
Is this
There
a
you go.
club? Is this a club match or?
It is, but it's a national competition between clubs. So
Oh.
we send 2 teams to Andover. They send 2 teams to our club, and we play simultaneously. And the scores are
So
aggregated.
are you playing at home or away?
No, I'm having to drive only 38 miles to Andover.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
yeah, but that's 38 miles in the UK, Rick. It's not 38 miles here.
I know. Through winding roads and villages.
Yes,
Exactly right.
hedgerows and
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Yeah, we're going. I'm trying not to drive through the hedgerows, I must admit.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
the
down
marine-
an ancient old east-west highway,
Oh,
which
wow.
goes past Stonehenge. But luckily,
Oh,
we
it does
don't have to
really?
go
Wow.
quite that far.
Did you say the marine lair's coming in?
Yeah,
Rick?
no, marine layers burning off finally.
Burning off,
It's-
wow.
Yeah, it only took till 2 in the afternoon.
We had a marine lair off Lake Ontario here yesterday morning. It
Yeah.
was very foggy.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to recall, Rick, it sort of hangs off the coast, doesn't it? And then as the tide moves in, it often drifts up and then over the airfield. I've landed there with the threshold in clear blue, and halfway down the runway, you've just run into a wall of fog.
Message to everyone from Jeff. His solution is he's taking the day off. Have a nice show, everyone. Such a jokester, I hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. Well.
I'm just trying to think what alcohol I can drink that will wake me up.
Something with caffeine in it. Do you have any like coffee?
Kahlua.
Kahlua, exactly.
I've got some Kahlua, and I've also got a really nice coffee flavored spicy rum.
Oh.
But I'm not quite sure.
I
either of
think
those
you
gonna
know
work.
what? I think you might feel badly in the morning if you had wine and then this stuff and mix them all up. Like
and the sugar. You don't want to have any
for
sugar. 'cause
bowls, for
that'll-
bowling, I
That's
think that
true.
might not be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to lie-in tomorrow.
What time do you have to be
Because
at the bowls?
Not till 6 o'clock
Oh,
in the evening.
Oh, okay. So you got all day.
Oh yeah, I've got all day to recover, and I've got physiotherapy tomorrow.
So he's really going to make you hurt before you go and play bowls. Good.
That's perfect, really, isn't it?
Yeah, very good timing. That's great. Yep. So this time next week, somebody from Liss is going to be here with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll be stuck in traffic coming home from the airport.
Very nice.
Oh well, yeah. Same will happen if you come here. I mean, just the airport's a nightmare.
Well, I'm so mad at we have sort of three main east-west highways that get me out to the airport, and they've decided now to have big construction projects on two of the three. So,
Oh
like,
Lord,
it's
really?
just yeah. Anyway.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound good.
No echoing.
No echoing.
How's my volume?
Good.
To me,
I've
it
turned
sounds
echo
good.
cancellation off now, Jeff. It seems to be working fine.
Okay. I mean, mine's been off on this machine.
Okay.
Same.
Okay, now let's see if we can hear Roger.
You're listening to the
Yes.
Pilot Guy Show.
Yes.
And the volume's
Hi,
still
Roger.
low on that?
Little bit, not massively,
Okay.
but a little.
That's as much as I can give you there. And
Well, then just play it
there.
the way it is.
That's as good as I can get it.
That's fine.
Sorry.
And we'll take it.
Okay. All right. Phew. Okay, let me get Keynote started.
And have you got your countdown clock handy?
Well, I'm getting there. Got to do one thing at a time.
Okay, and your recorder.
Yep. Just hold that thought.
I've
Hold that
got it.
thought.
I'm holding it.
Hold it.
I could do with a cup of coffee. Have I got time to make a cup of coffee?
No.
Nope. Okay, that's fine.
He's going to bed when Steffi arrives, so
Okay. Okay, and share the screen, and we'll do that and that and that. Share. Okay, and let's just make sure that you can hear something on this, like perhaps this. Okay.
Nothing
No, I
yet.
know. I didn't hear anything either because it doesn't have any sound until it
Okay.
starts playing. I know that doesn't make any sense.
Ludger
but-
says the volumes sound okay to him, so he's happy.
Okay. Let me advance this a little bit.
Traffic 1 mile
Yep.
south of Metro Field 2000.
Okay, you can hear that.
Yep.
That's good. Okay.
You got your recorder on?
That's the next thing I'm doing. And it is recording. Yes, it is recording.
Okay. We're almost ready to roll then.
Almost ready to go. Okay.
Your countdown clock?
Countdown clock. Okay, let me go over here. What was that? I heard somebody's little clown horn go off.
Clown horn.
Yeah, on their messages.
People are laughing at your comment that you're taking their day off. It's your crew laughing about you.
That's my solution.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have the thing ready to go, the countdown ready to go. Looks like things are recording.
Take a deep breath.
Let's do it. I got to do one more thing. I got to what?
Sorry.
That's all right. You can start it again.
Oh, okay.
Because I still have 614 from Roger on this computer,
Okay.
not 615.
That's fine.
I
Do what you gotta do.
do. Get rid of that, and I need to find the window and find Radio Roger folder and 615, and drag that over here to this. Okay.
You're listening to the airline.
Okay. Let's do the countdown again and cross our fingers.
Yep.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 615.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 2nd of May, 2024.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Picture light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, no survivors among the two people on board a cargo plane that crashed in Alaska, and a flight's landing gear collapsed while arriving in Miami. Also ahead, more news, your feedback at today's Plane Tale, the A to J of aviation. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions, electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 615 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your feedback. Captain Jeff, that's me, former U.S. Air Force pilot, newly retired captain for Delta Airlines. And joining us today from his mobile studio in Los Angeles, I'm thinking.
That is it.
World traveler, airplane mechanic, dog rescue volunteer, fitness hound, and international air freight captain. It's Miami Rick.
Hey, everybody, out on the road again. Well, I'm still on the road. Haven't gone home yet. But yeah, NLA, got a lot of feedback to catch up on, so it's going to be a good one.
Yes.
Do it.
Awesome. All right. And also joining us from his studio,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. Hi, everyone. Great to be back on the show and really looking forward to it now. We finally got everything sorted. Well done.
Again, we don't have to share everything. And also joining us from his home studio in the air capital, low and slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Camacho.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be back. It feels like it's been forever since I've been on, but I think I only missed one show.
Yeah, it does feel like a while. It's been a busy few weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we're finally slowly getting back on track, and helping us with that, of course, is our organizer extraordinaire from her studio in Toronto, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's Liz Piper.
We made it, everybody. We made it. Yay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been the last hour has been quite a mess with all kinds of
tense
issues
there, a
and
little
problems.
tense.
I'm on a computer number 2 at this moment, and anyway, yeah. So great
Have
to
a
see
good show,
everybody.
you guys. Steffi's on her way.
Awesome. Thanks,
Roger.
Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Okay, let's do some aviation news before this whole thing crashes.
Stand by for news.
All right, we're going to start off with this first news. By the way, we're only doing a couple of news items, 3 maybe total, and then we're going to jump into feedback because we didn't do any feedback on our last show. So we owe it to you to try to, do some of that on this show. So on this one, we're going to start with some video. And let's see here. Let me go over here to this and push this button right here. This is a Douglas C-54D Skymaster, DC-4, operated by Alaska Air Fuel. It was destroyed when it crashed into a steep hill on the bank of the Tanana River about 6 minutes after takeoff from Fairbanks International Airport. Okay, it's taking off.
Douglas 5-4 Victor, contact departure.
Order departure, 5-4 Victor, thank you.
See ya.
Number 3054 Victor, Fairbanks departure, radar contact, when able, turn right on course.
Right on course, when able, 5-4 Victor.
Yeah, Liz was just saying, we believe this happened shortly before we recorded the last show.
5-4 Victor will be returning to the field. All right, let's get down on the ground, get in the field.
Number 3054 Victor, roger, and if you requiring assistance, we do want runway 2.
Yes, we'll have a... Yes, we'll require.
Roger, and I do have amount of number of fuel on board and people.
Fuel on board, 1,400 fuel.
Transit completion, left heading 020.
Yeah, my love, man. Yeah, my love.
Left turn 020, transit 2.
Hello, 54 Victor, I'll make sure to runway 2 left.
Oh, there it is.
November 3054 Victor, you can contact Fairbanks Tower. November 3054 Victor, radar contact lost.
You need me to head out that way and look for Golf Victor.
Douglas 3054 Victor, Fairbanks Tower. Douglas 3054 Victor, Fairbanks Tower. Ops 1 Fairbanks Tower. Ops 1 Fairbanks Tower.
Tower Ops 1.
Ops 1, the aircraft, I think, appears to be beyond 7 Mile Bluff. There's a big plume of smoke.
Fairbanks Tower Ops 1, do you have contact with the aircraft?
Ops 1 negative. We're going to have a Pilatus overfly that area. I couldn't get a hold of 5-4 Victor. I couldn't get a hold of the DC-4 that deported. Plus 744 Delta Alpha Fairbanks Tower.
Not great radio reception.
Plus 744 Delta Fairbanks Tower. When we choose a right, clear to land. And do you have visual on that smoke plume? Plus 4 Delta Alpha verify. You said it was 4 to 5 miles south of the Fairbanks Delta?
Yeah, right on the border. Maybe 6 miles south.
Pilatus 4 Delta Alpha, Roger. If you just overfly directly over it, and if you're able to tell us, or just give us a better position, because we lost track when he was about 5 miles southwest of Fairbanks, but we see the smoke beyond 7 Mile Bluff.
Okay, I'll fly it now. Let me know.
Pilatus 4 Delta Alpha, Roger. Traffic ahead and to your right, 10 miles northbound, 4,900 ATR.
There's a inset picture of the crash scene. Nothing but fire and a lot of smoke.
Right now, there's
Plus 4 Delta, affirmative that that was an aircraft experiencing in-flight malfunction. We'll relay that your position is where the fire is. Thank you very much.
yes, let me know the 911 Charlie Victor's off flat, like southwest bound.
Verify this helicopter 911 Charlie Victor.
The affirmative 911 Charlie Victor.
Helicopter 911 Charlie Victor, Fairbanks Tower, proceed direct the tower for a midfield crossing. Are you going to the incident southwest of Fairbanks?
We'll proceed direct to the tower for midfield crossing. Yeah, we'll be southwest bound for 1 Charlie Victor.
Helicopter 1 Charlie Victor, and there's traffic 1 mile south of Metro Field 2,000 feet at ATR.
Looking for the traffic 1 Charlie Victor.
Empire 86, 3 traffic ahead and to your right, 3 miles southwestbound, 1,300 helicopter.
Hey, helicopter inside Empire 8663.
Empire 8663, Roger. Helicopter 1 Charlie Victor, the ATR has you in sight. Helicopter 1 Charlie Victor, you can maintain visual separation with the ATR. They're inbound for Fairbanks on the left base here in a little bit, and resume on navigation to the southwest.
On navigation southwest for 1 Charlie Victor, maintain visual.
Okay. I believe that is the end of that. Sorry for the bad audio. Again, that was live ATC. It's a network of private citizens that on their own dime create these antennas and recordings for all of us to hear, and sometimes they're not positioned very well. And but trust me, the people that actually need to hear these transmissions hear them pretty much loud and clear. So it's just us not being able to hear clear communications there. So okay, well, I have the report up on my. Okay, so while we were listening to this, was just Camacho just told us that the preliminary report was issued, and I can share my screen, and we can read that. So here we go. Stop screen and start screen sharing again. I feel like a one-armed paper hanger right now. Here we go. Share. Is that? Am I allowed to say that?
I don't understand that reference.
Okay, like wallpaper. Have you ever had or hung wallpaper?
I remember watching my parents do it as a child.
Oh, so imagine one of them without an arm and trying to.
I don't recall the hanging being nearly as difficult as like the scraping off the old.
Well, the scraping off is definitely is difficult. Yes. All right. Here's the preliminary report. On April 23rd, about 10:03 Alaska Daylight Time, a Douglas C-54 Delta, a DC-4. November 3054 Victor was destroyed when it was involved in an accident near Fairbanks, Alaska. The two pilots were fatally injured. The airplane was operated as a Title 14 Code of Federal Regulations Part 191 flight. No, Part 91 flight.
Yeah, I was going to say, which part is that?
Well, it's a new one that just came up with. I just made it up. The airplane, owned and operated by Alaska Air Fuel, was transporting 3,400 gallons of unleaded fuel and two 100-gallon propane tanks. Wow, lots of what do you call it? Flammables,
stuff,
yes,
yeah.
flammable.
Lots of boom on
stuff. Yeah. The accident airplane. Oh, I just read that. The airplane departed from the Fairbanks International Airport about 9:55 Alaska Daylight Time with a destination of Kobuk Airport, Kobuk, Alaska. Shortly after takeoff, an eyewitness reported seeing the airplane flying to the west with the far left engine number one not running. The witness also noticed a small white plume of smoke coming from that engine. The witness reported the airplane began a turn to the south, at which point he noticed the engine was on fire. Recovered surveillance video shows white smoke behind the number one engine, followed by flames. The video also revealed that seconds later, a bright white explosion is seen just behind the number one engine, followed by fragments of airplane wreckage falling to the ground. And there are a couple of photos there that we'll hopefully put in our show notes, and I'll have as chapter images. The airplane then begins an uncontrolled descending left turn into terrain. The number one engine separated from the wing about 100 feet above the ground and eventually came to rest on the frozen Tanana River. Preliminary review of archived voice communication information from the FAA revealed that shortly after departure, from about 1,000 feet, the pilot contacted the departure control, stating that there was a fire on board and they needed to return to the airport. Let's see. The accident airplane was equipped with automatic dependent surveillance broadcast B, ADS-B, which provides aircraft position information via satellite navigation or other sensors and periodically broadcasts it, enabling the aircraft to be tracked. The information can be received by, okay, we all know that. The airplane departed. It initially proceeded southwest, turned westbound. The airplane began a left turn back to Fairbanks International. The ADS-B data eventually stopped near where the witness observed the accident airplane impact terrain. The accident airplane was also equipped with, I think, Spider Tracks. Spider Tracks enables real-time flight tracking, automated flight watch, two-way communication, and flight data monitoring, FDM, for aircraft. The operator's archived Spider Tracks data has been collected for further analysis. Oh, that's going to help with the investigation, I imagine. Large post-crash fire ensued, of course. You know, based on all the flammables that were on board, that's not a surprise, is it? Okay, so that's what we have with the preliminary. So basically, that's not a heck of a lot of information that we didn't have, other than the fact that were carrying flammable stuff on board the airplane. So my question is, now I have very little experience. Well, I have zero experience flying a twin engine or multi-engine propeller aircraft. But I think that I heard that when you experience a power outage on a propeller airplane, that a multi-engine propeller airplane, that there's a certain direction you do not want to turn. I don't think you want to turn into the dead engine, right? Is that right, or have I got that
No, I think
wrong?
you're right. I remember from multi-engine training back in the day, where they tell you, they say, race the dead. You always race the dead engine. You always turn away from the dead
Yep.
engine. And then you never ever let the speed bleed below a speed called VMC, velocity minimum control, and that one is there's a red radial mark on your airspeed indicator there. You're supposed to stay above that line, otherwise you basically run out of rudder. I mean, you're not able to control the aircraft, and you could do one of those wingovers if you let the airspeed bleed below that. But yeah, you race the dead. Always race the dead engine.
So do you think that might be a factor in why they lost control? Because they turned the wrong direction?
I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. But going back to like I said, I did notice that they turned into the wrong engine. I don't know if that may have played a part. I honestly don't know. I think it's too early to tell.
I don't know either. I also think it's, that is, I haven't flown a 4-engine airplane, but they lost when you're flying a twin engine airplane and you lose an engine, you basically lose all the power, all your power on one side, right? So when you have that yawing effect of offset power, in this instance, right, they lost 50% of that. So I would think it would be not as critical on a 4-engine airplane as it would be on a twin engine airplane, because when you look at like the center of thrust, it's probably not moving as far. I don't know. They did lose the outboard engine, which would be more critical than losing an inboard engine, but also it seemed like they had the issue and they were able to fly the airplane for a while, and then something terrible happened with the explosion that you see in the video, and it seems like they basically had minimal, they didn't control the airplane very much longer after that explosion happened. So whether it was a controls issue associated with the explosion or something, it seems like the power failure occurred and they were able to keep the airplane under control for a period of time, and then whatever caused the explosion, the loss of control of the airplane was pretty adjacent to that.
Yeah, I agree, Nick. The fact that that engine separated from the aircraft tells me that there was a significant amount of damage, that whatever the fire was, whatever problem was occurring with that, to actually burn the engine off the wing, or for the engine or something to explode and actually throw the engine off the wing, would undoubtedly have caused significant damage to the airframe, and they may well have had flight control problems in addition to having their asymmetric engine problems, and I think that's going to be significant.
Yeah, so it might just be a moot point, not a mute point, regarding the turn into the dead engine. So.
Yeah, on a 4-engine airplane, I don't think it's quite as important. I agree as a general principle. Definitely, you want to try and keep that dead engine on the upside, because it's always easier. Once you get that dead engine wing down, lifting it up again, particularly when you haven't got heaps of energy, is a problem. And we have to look at the 747 that crashed at Schiphol when they lost both engines on one side. They were doing a turn into that dead wing and they lost it. And that a lot of other factors, but that was definitely a factor in the reason that they lost control of that aircraft. And there are many other examples if you look through history.
Exactly, and to your point, Nick, there, when you turn into that dead engine, as you just said, it takes a lot to lift that engine up. Using aileron, and you have to remember that a byproduct of aileron input is adverse yaw, and if you are very, very close to VMC and in a very low energy state, you may very well run out of rudder just above VMC as well. So just think about that. Anytime roll is input, yaw is created as a byproduct of that roll, and which is why it's important to keep turns coordinated, right?
And that's a whole complex system, right? Because when, like what Rick was talking about, I think we talked about it a couple of shows ago when I was on. But when he's talking about raising the dead, basically what's happening is when you lose an engine and that center of thrust moves off the center line of the airplane, you have to apply rudder to keep the airplane flying straight to counteract that. When you apply rudder, now the airplane isn't coordinated, so you roll the wings to basically coordinate the airplane to account for that loss of propulsion. But then with that comes the adverse yaw. So there's a ton of things happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's the prelim report, so I'm sure we'll learn more as the investigation continues.
Well, so one other comment I had that I just thought was interesting is, when they ask them for the fuel and souls on board, and I think the OB guys have talked about this, but I was just curious, I assume that they're asking for the fuel on board in regards to like what sort of response they need to have. And these guys replied with the amount of aviation fuel on board. But obviously there was a significant amount of additional unleaded gas and propane and everything on board. So I was just curious if that was a...
Yeah, I think when they ask you that question, it really... So two things they'll ask you, right? So it's fuel on board, souls on board, and any hazmat on board, right? Yeah. And that is time permitting. If you can't answer this question, just when and if you get to it, great. If not, whatever. But as far as the fuel on board goes, I think it's more for ATC for planning purposes,
for
loitering time. Loitering to kind of have an idea of how long you have up there and what kind of time frame ATC has to work with to prepare things. So
I'm a little disappointed they didn't ask them to get the latest ATIS.
I know, right? Well, and that's really the reason why. One of the reasons why on my post-it note on Pete there, I have souls on board, so that I don't have to go looking for it.
Tell them what you're talking about, Rick.
So Pete, the post-it note,
has got his own.
He's got his own Twitter handle and a couple of thousand followers all by himself. How about that? A post-it note does that. And so I've been using post-it notes, sticky notes on my panel for many years now, and I jot down time critical information, like obviously the flight number, estimated time of departure and arrival, the runway in use that that I can anticipate for takeoff, the flap setting that I can anticipate, the thrust, the engine out procedure should there be one, the minimum block fuel, arrival fuel, and the amount of fuel I need to dump in case I need to get below max landing weight. So that I have that already written down, so that I don't have to go looking for it and doing that mental math in my head. And then the payload, the planned payload. And the reason why I write all these things down is so that I have it handy if something happens, something like this. So if something, God forbid, happens, I have that stuck to my panels. I don't have to go thinking about it or assigning someone to go and figure that thing out while that my FO or whoever's behind us could be helping us with the actual emergency situation. And so I always think, just just always try to do as much as you can beforehand, so that if the situation does arise, you have everything ready. So that's what Pete the Post-it note does. So
that's very smart of you to do that. I never, well, I did kind of sort of a version of that myself, but because we kind of, I think, overestimate sometimes how together we're going to be when we're startled and shocked by something that happens, especially something that's very serious. And you're thinking, well, sure, I can remember it's 110 or 250 passengers or whatever. But then in the moment, you may not.
Oh,
you
yeah.
may not even know what your name is and where the heck you are.
Absolutely.
That doesn't get that
and you
bad,
know what?
but,
And not only that, not only, for example, on, because I tell you, like 8 out of 10 times we take off above max landing weight. So if something does happen and we have a fire that needs to be put out, or a situation where I need to get the aircraft back down on the ground ASAP, not only will I write down the amount of fuel that I need to dump to get us below max landing weight, but I will also preset it on the fuel dump panel. So I'll have the number ready in case we do need to start dumping fuel. All I have to do is turn the system on and turn the nozzles on, and then it starts going. Not to say that I can't land the aircraft overweight, because, FAR Part 25 aircraft are certified to land at max takeoff weight with a sink rate of about 300 feet a minute, and at certificated landing weight with a sink rate of 600 feet a minute. So these things are very, very overbuilt. But what I'm saying is just make sure you have everything ready, so that if anything does happen, you have all your ducks in a row.
Did you say Part 25? Is that that's right next to Part 191, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. Part 1.
I just wanted to
exactly right,
clarify that. Okay. Hey, well, look, Steph has joined us. Hey, Steph.
There's Steffi.
Hello. I have to unmute myself, but hopefully you can hear me.
I was thinking, you're still having an audio problem.
No. I was sorry. I was trying to multitask, and I was responding to a few text messages while I was waiting for introduction.
Oh, okay.
And no echo
boring
either,
you,
so that's great.
Okay. Yeah.
No, not boring me at all. Actually, most of those messages were between me and Liz. So.
Oh, well, Liz, stop texting her so she can concentrate on the show. Okay. Well, great. We're glad that you were able to make it. We've had all kinds of tech issues, which is, a big surprise.
Surprise. No, I arrived at home and had my own, but they seem to be resolved now as well. So let's continue, shall we?
Okay, well, we'll do that. And let's see. We're going to continue here with the next item in our news segment. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to, and I think I have the volume down low enough on it so that I can kind of play this as B-roll in the background. So go ahead and here, I'm going to pop that up to the stage and then hit return. And then I'm going to bang my microphone with my hand. Okay, there is an MD-82 skidding to a stop on runway 27 at Miami International Airport. This occurred on the 21st of June in 2022, so almost 2 years ago. The final report is out now on this, a Red Air Dominicana McDonnell Douglas MD-82. Registration Hotel India 1064, performing flight 203 from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic to Miami with 130 passengers and 10 crew. Landed on Miami's runway 9. Oh, that's right. It was 9, not 2.
Yeah, it was 9. It was the rollout.
I was turned around there at 17:37 local time, maintaining routine communication, but suffered the collapse of its landing gear. Tower pressed the crash button and instructed the next approaches to go around. The MD-82 came to a standstill off the runway with a fire developing at the right-hand wing where a fuel spill occurred. The aircraft was evacuated via slides. 3 people received minor injuries and were taken to the hospital. Emergency services quickly extinguished the fire. Okay, on the 25th of April, so about, a week ago, the NTSB released their final report, concluding that the probable causes of the accident were the structural failure of the left main landing gear downlock following ineffective shimmy dampening. I'm so glad that you're here with us now, Steph, because
yeah,
you're
I was going
our
to say,
shimmy
we should have a
dampering
discussion on this.
expert. Just happened to work out that way. So the shimmy dampening during the landing roll was ineffective, which caused the collapse of the left main landing gear. resulting in a runway excursion and post-flight fire. The collapse of the left main landing gear during the landing roll resulted, okay, we just said that, loss of controllability on the runway during which the aircraft impacted a small equipment building, breaching the right wing fuel tank, causing a post-crash fire. The performance of the crew was thoroughly evaluated during this investigation and found to be appropriate for the circumstances of the accident. The focus of this analysis is the cause of the left main landing gear collapse, particularly the left shimmy damper's failure to adequately dampen vibration during landing and the failure of the left main gear downlock mechanism due to excessive vibration. And then they talk about a picture, which I think we'll have in our show notes, and I believe in our slideshow that Liz will take over here soon. In fact, if you want to do that now, you can remove that and then start showing. There you go. There's that picture. I think that's figure 1. The left shimmy damper's failure to adequately dampen vibration during the landing, and the failure of the main link. Okay, so. This is a representation of how vibrations are typically dampened by a fully functioning shimmy damper. No, that's not figure 1. Okay, figure 2 shows the rubber tire transfer markings. That's what I'm looking for. That indicate the left main landing gear was shimmying down the runway. So that's you can kind of see the skid marks there, and that's not normal. The left shimmy damper was examined and found to be assembled correctly. However, the check valve was found to be leaking, and the cap for the check valve service port was missing. The damper requires sufficient hydraulic fluid to adequately dampen normal vibrations. Anyway, so it goes on in a little bit more detail about that, it said the shimmy damper was checked the day before the accident per the S check. There was no record of the damper being serviced during this S check, suggesting that the service port cap was present and hydraulic fluid levels were above minimums. Is the S check, guys, is that the overnight check, like the daily check? I'm not sure I'm familiar with what a
I
what
don't know what
S
an
check is.
so I'm aware of the transit check, the daily check, and for us at least, the difference between a transit and a daily is in a daily check you do tire pressure checks, and in a transit you don't. But an S check, I don't know what an S check is.
Well, I will tell you something. I have some anecdotal experience with this whole thing, especially this airplane, or a version of the McDonnell Douglas.
Yeah, I wish we knew someone that flew like them.
So we were overnight at it was Wichita, of all places. Early morning departure, because that's the kind of trips I used to fly a lot. And my first officer, who I flew with quite often, Kurt Kerstetter, hope he doesn't mind me using his full name, still presently a pilot at Acme. Anyway, he was just very competent pilot, a lot of fun to fly with, but he was extremely competent and particular when it came to doing walk-around exterior inspections. And this early morning, he comes back and he goes, "Hey, Jeff, you need to take a look at this." And I always knew when he had his phone and he was about to show me a picture of something, I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. He's found something wrong. And so he shows me a picture of the shimmy damper on the left, it just happens to be the same side as this Air Dominica, or Red Air Dominicana, on the left side. And I'm looking at it going, kind of looks normal to me. I mean, I know for sure that if I'd done that walk around that morning, I would not have noticed this. He did. And he goes, "Yeah, it's really hard to," and he shows like a real close up, and he zooms in on his phone and says, "Yeah, see, it looks like it's marked at the right place," but he said, it's actually not. Here, let me zoom in a little bit more. And sure enough, he was right. The thing was not exact. I'm thinking, does this really require somebody to come in and look? So we called contract. We called Delta Airlines maintenance in Atlanta, and they said, "Okay, we'll get a contractor to come out and take a look." Guy comes out and he goes, "Yep." He said it needs to be serviced, and so he serviced the shimmy damper appropriately, and we were delayed maybe a little over an hour. It wasn't really bad, but and again, it's like, I'm not so sure that would have been so obvious to me doing the walk around. I'm thankful that Kurt was there and he did the walk around. And it wasn't until I saw this accident, I'm thinking, oh, that really is a big deal. That's an important thing to have on an airplane landing gear system.
It's interesting because the airplanes that I've flown, the jets that I've flown, we don't have a dedicated shimmy dampener service port at all, actually.
This was it's like a cylinder that's like an overlapping cylinder back there in the aft part of the landing gear structure, and it's not very big, but you're supposed to see where I think it's the top that comes down and covers the bottom, and there's some markings, some etchings on the bottom part where this is full fill. But there's like a little, it's like you don't look exactly laterally at the mark, and then you look at the words that are written there. It's like a bent arrow, like up at a certain angle, and then up here, and that's what throws a lot of people off apparently, because it was the part that it was supposed to be, where it was supposed to be, was covered up. All you could see was the writing, the etching of the words that said this is the full. Yeah, so I think it was kind of tricky, but thankfully Kurt caught it, and we didn't have a left main landing gear collapse when we landed in Atlanta, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing in my book. Absolutely.
Now, Steph, because you're our expert in shimmy dampers, do you want to add anything at all to this?
I was just wondering if you wanted me to read all of the technical details about.
Yeah, well, if you could have a few beers first.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. We'll revisit this in about
later on.
2 hours.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't let that go. I just
know,
can't.
it's okay.
It was one of the best moments in APG history, I think.
I did try to look up and see what an S check is, and I can't find anything, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry.
That was just a term that I'm not familiar with, but maybe that's something.
My very superficial Google search returned no findings on that. So.
Well, it must not be a thing then if Google couldn't give you any search results.
I guess the NTSB made it up.
Yeah.
Well, I think Micah found the answer. He says that the S check comes right before the T check and after the recheck. So there you go.
Oh, the R check. Yeah, the T check and the R check.
Exactly. So,
I know those.
Yeah.
It's just Hey,
those are for mostly Part 191 operations, though. So.
Oh, okay. If people are looking up Part 191, there really isn't a Part 191. I made that up. Captain Nick, looks like it's getting late there in your part of the world, and if you're feeling like you want to kind of leave us and head off to bed, you're more than welcome to, sir.
I'm going to take that opportunity. Thanks, Jeff. We had a big thunderstorm. Line of thunderstorms go through last night, which woke us all up at 4 a.m. And so it's been a long day. And what with our slight delay, I'm going to disappear off now and join you next week for another exciting episode of what podcast is this?
It's Airline Pilot. You're on the Airline Pilot Guy.
Oh, okay, that's
podcast
cool.
at this time.
Right.
Yes,
brilliant.
I know he does a lot of them out there, so we always
Yeah.
appreciate it when he's able to join us here.
Yeah. So now Steph's here to take my place. Thanks, Steph, and I'll catch you guys next week.
All right, Nick. We love you. Get a good night's sleep.
Fair winds next Thursday.
Cheers.
All right.
While we're pointing out flaws here, just to keep us above 50%, Jeff.
What did I do?
There is a Part 191.
Oh.
It's just associated with transportation of natural and other gas by pipeline. Which I feel like
I knew that. I knew that.
It's associated with gases. Perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course.
Well, thank you so much for pointing that out. Hey, all you people, put your keyboards
I'm just
down.
trying to save you. I'm just trying to save you from all the
Thank
other
you.
feedback.
So quit type. We get plenty of that as it is. In fact, we'll talk about some of that in our Getting to Know Us segment where I screwed up a couple things. So, it's normal, par for the course, and it's just going to get worse as I get older. But that's why I have these young people with me to keep me out of trouble.
That's right.
Nope,
Well, we try to.
can't do it.
Yeah.
Fail miserably.
Not
most of
in
the
my
time,
job
but-
description.
Okay, well, we'll see. All right. One last news item, and this is good. I'm glad we're covering this while we have all three of these young'uns with us, because they might be able to give us some insight on this, because I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit. Sounds kind of weird. Anyway, this is an accident that occurred in St. Augustine, Florida, involving a Mooney M20. And again, this has some video associated with it, so I'm going to add this to the stage, and I'm going to press this button and watch a little bit of this. Let's see, a Mooney M20K crashed in a wooded area about 3 minutes after departure from runway 13 at St. Augustine, Northeast Florida Regional Airport. The aircraft was attempting an emergency return. Due to an open door, the 2 occupants were fatally injured. Oh, hang on. I need to shoot. Sorry. I'm going to have to stop that because I turned the volume down on that previous video. And now we need to have this volume up so you can hear this, so we can all hear it. Okay, here, let's try. Take 2. As I said, the 2 occupants were fatally injured and the aircraft was destroyed. Now we'll just wait a couple more seconds and the video starts.
November 4387 Whiskey, runway 13 Bravo 1, fly runway heading clear for takeoff.
4387, runway heading clear for takeoff, runway 13.
It's airborne.
Yeah, St. Augustine Tower, 4387. Door just popped open. I'm going to need you to come back for a landing.
4387, now Whiskey, roger. Make left close traffic for runway 13. Runway 13, clear to land. 487 Whiskey, you can make a left or right traffic, your choice for runway 13. Your number 1, clear to land.
Number 1, clear to land, 4387 Whiskey.
Okay, shows joining a downwind, left downwind.
487 Whiskey, do you need any assistance or anything, or are you just going to land and close it?
Yeah, I'm just going to land and close. I should be ready to roll again, 166.
Okay, we'll work all that out when you get on the ground and get situated. We'll get you back out of here on that release.
Thank you.
Sounds pretty chill. Turns a base leg here.
187 Whiskey Tower. 4387 Whiskey Tower.
Tower 773, Mike 0, ready at runway 13, Bravo 1.
Hold short, Colin Tower. Ready, 4387, now Whiskey Tower.
Number 773, Mike 0, short of runway 13, ready to go.
Not you.
773, Mike 0, hold short. I had a Mooney out there on the base, and I've lost comms with him. Did you see him land?
That's negative.
Okay, roger that.
Tower, Riddle 472, just entering your delta on the south side. We have a helicopter off to our right. You want us to follow them?
Riddle 472, do me a favor. When you get on the downwind, make a left 360.
Riddle 472, when we get on that downwind, we'll make a left 360.
Night 2, Tower.
Tower, Night 2.
Yeah, I had a Mooney out there that had a door pop open. He was entering left traffic, and we cleared him. I've lost him on the base. Can you go over there and see him respond?
Yes, and where is he?
Last reported, I saw him on the left base. He had a door pop open. He was just turning back to land, and we've lost him out there. I can't get him on the radio. I can't find him.
And you say it was a Mooney left base for 3-1?
Yep, Night 2, if you just overfly the field, your present position, enter like the left traffic. That was the last reported area.
Night 2, copy. We're heading that way.
Thanks, Night 2. And Riddle 312, do me a favor. You got a second?
Yeah, Riddle 312.
This is what I need, Riddle 312. Turn the final, stay at 1,000 feet, and just overfly that final. I have a Mooney I've lost comm with that was coming in for the left traffic, and just let me know if you see anything out there.
All right, Riddle 312, we'll hold 1,000 and fly final over there right now.
Thanks.
Night 2, I'm going to hold about 500-600 feet, leading higher altitude for the aircraft you're talking to.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Night 2. I've got them off the right base. They're just going to overfly the final and see if they see anything.
He's a police
Night 2,
helicopter.
hold it.
Night 2.
Night 2, probably a half mile of fun to get to your left is where I last saw him on the radar. It's hazy over there, so I'd lost vision of him for a moment, but I never saw him come off that base.
Roll 312, go ahead.
Night 2 is right in there is where I last saw him.
Roll 312, request to loop around. I might have seen something on the ground, but I'm not sure about it.
Riddle, make it the right turn if you could. I got a helicopter just off your left.
Roll 312.
Night 2, just off your left. Riddle said they might have seen something.
Night 2, copy. If they want to hold 1,000, I can hold 500, and we can get over that way. Probably get a little lower and slower.
I'm going to have some jet arrivals coming in. I can't hold them off. I'll just, if I can, I'll pull you off the final to the east when it's time.
Night 2, copy.
And Riddle 472, I've got a situation kind of brewing. I'll need you to exit the Class D to the south. I'm sorry I can't get your approaches right now.
No worries. Understand. Roll 472. We're headed south.
Riddle 4.
Okay, this goes on for several more minutes, and I don't think it's really necessary for us to play the entire video and all the transmissions. But essentially, what happened is they spotted the wreckage of the Mooney and looked like it had just impacted the ground pretty much vertically, straight in. There didn't seem to be much spread of wreckage and that kind of thing. So here we have a Mooney M20 taking off, and then the door, and it doesn't say what door. It could have been the passenger door, which I believe is on the right side only.
Correct.
I'm sorry, what? Not quite yet. I'll let you know when we pop that thing up. And then the other thing it could be is a cargo door. I think they've had instances of cargo doors opening up. And in fact, I think there is actually some history of a cargo door actually opening up and ripping off and actually lodging in the tail, the horizontal and or rudder surface on the tail and the back. But again, we're not sure exactly what door. It's just a door popped open. And I was doing some research on this and found a forum. And Liz, you can pop that up. And somebody was saying that there is an emergency procedure for the Mooney M20K for an unlatched door in flight. And this is regarding the cabin door. If the cabin door is not properly closed, it may come unlatched in flight. This may occur during or just after takeoff, which is exactly what happened in this case. This may occur, okay, I just read that. The door will trail in a position approximately 3 inches open, but the flight characteristics of the airplane will not be affected. Return to the field in a normal manner, if practicable. During the landing flare, have a passenger hold the door to prevent it from swinging open. If it is deemed impractical to return and land, the door can be closed in flight after reaching a safe altitude by the following procedure. Airspeed 96 knots indicated airspeed. Pilot's window open. Aircraft right side slip, which is a right bank with left rudder. And then the door pull shut and latch. Okay, again.
It seems counterintuitive, but that's how we close the door in smaller skydiving aircraft as well.
Oh.
Obviously, we don't land with the door open usually, but after everyone's out, it's full left rudder, and it's full left rudder, and it'll bring the door back down, and then you can just easily close it.
And is that just the air, the force, the sheer force of the air on the side of the airplane closes? Okay. iHall Boxes in our live audience says, unfortunately, not the first pilot to kill himself trying to close an unlatched door. And again, we're making assumptions here that this was the passenger door, and that maybe he was attempting to close it while he was still flying the airplane instead of just allowing it to stay open and then just land the airplane. It could, as I said, it could have been a cargo compartment door also, and it could have left the airplane and somehow, messed up the control surface in the back. But again, until we get more information on this report, I don't know if we're ever going to know.
We may not. It's hard to know for sure, obviously, but just listening to his radio communications, he didn't strike me as someone worried about it or panicking, trying to get the door closed. He was going to come back and land and close the
Yeah.
door and go again. So
Yeah, just come close it. Yeah,
yeah.
no big deal. It was very, as I said, you know, I made a comment that it was a very relaxed and chill kind of attitude that he sounded like he had on the radio. The other thing I wanted to mention is that in some of these talks on these general aviation forums, Mooney forums, and that kind of thing, where was I going with that? Yeah, shoot. Dang it. I had a great thought. Well, you kids keep talking and maybe I'll think of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be, I guess people do all kinds of strange things when you don't expect them to when faced with unexpected situations, but I just didn't get the sense from the way he was conducting himself on the radio that he would have picked his base to final turn essentially to try and close the door there. So I don't know if it was distraction, but again, we don't know which door it was. So if it was that baggage door that's on a different hinge, a vertical hinge, and it, was able to become detached.
So this happens really often. When I was doing my transition training into the Bonanza, we actually discussed it at length in like the ground school portion, and then the instructor popped the door open on me at about 150 feet. And I don't know anything about the Mooney. In the Bonanza, everyone I've talked to has said you cannot get the door closed. Like, shouldn't even make an effort to try to get the door closed. Just turn around and land. But, like to Steph's point, when the door pops open, at least in my airplane, which is, similar size and speed to a Mooney, the door comes open. It opens like 2 or 3 inches and then is like solidly in trail, like 2 or 3 inches open. It's not beating around. It's not doing any sort of crazy thing. So it's really not a critical issue as long as you understand that scenario. But when we started talking about this, I just went into the NTSB database and searched door open. And there are 3 instances. In August of 2022, there's a SR-20 who had a door open and made a hard landing and substantially damaged the airplane. And then in December of 2022, there's a Bonanza that had a door open and basically lost control of the airplane and crashed the airplane. And then a Mooney in December 2021. So it does happen a lot, unfortunately.
I remembered finally what I was going to add. In these forums, somebody had pointed out, and I guess I didn't have a good enough photo to see what they were talking about. They said in some of the photos that they saw, it was evident, according to them, that the cargo door was missing, or the cargo compartment door was missing in the wreckage that they saw. So again, we don't know, as we've made the point, we don't know for sure because he never stated which door was open. But if it, Maine Marin says, I did my multi-engine in an Aztec. Flight instructor said at the door opens on takeoff. Flight instructor said at the door opens on takeoff, you will not be able to fly the airplane. So it was a very important checklist item.
Now that I hear that, that's bringing back. And I haven't thought about this in years. I think that was also the case in the Seminole, the PA-44. I got my multi in a Seminole, many moons ago, and I do remember that it was part of the checklist, if I remember correctly. But that does ring a bell. Yeah, I mean, in some airplanes, it really can be a big deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like a high-wing Cessna, I mean, it's no big deal at all, is it?
Not at all.
No, if this happens to you and you're in a small high-wing Cessna, just fly the airplane. I think people get surprised when the door comes open, but I think I take it for granted that that's not a normal thing to happen in airplanes. But the airplane will fly just fine in those types of aircraft.
Well, the Alaska Air 737, lost its door. And
a little more
they were still able to fly the airplane,
just
keep
fine.
it under control.
Yeah.
Got the company in a little bit of trouble. the company that made it. Anyway, yeah, it's time for us to move on to getting to know us. We're going to try to make it as abbreviated as possible. I'll do my best. Getting to know us is that time of the show where we get together and figure out what we've all been doing between shows. And let's start with Camacho. Since he wasn't with us last week, maybe you can get us up to speed on what you've been doing, sir.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy ever since our Charlotte meetup. From Charlotte, I went out to California. Spent a couple of weeks out in California working quite a bit, but I was able to in the weekend in the middle. I was able to fly the C-47 up to Oregon for an event where they were commemorating the first all black parachute infantry. I don't remember if it was a regiment or battalion. I believe it was the first parachute infantry regiment, 555th. And so we went up there and we dropped a number of reenactor jumpers, got to meet a whole bunch of veterans, and had loads of fun. So had a good weekend with that. Came back and did a whole bunch more work in California. I got home. Let's see, I've been home a week and a half now. The first day or the first couple days after I got back, one of my folks had a medical procedure, so we spent my siblings came into town to kind of help them recuperate, and we spent a lot of family time doing that. And then this week I've been working a bunch, so have not had a lot of outside activity time, but yeah, hopefully things are winding down here so I can get back to doing more airplane stuff.
Yeah, I've been experiencing just beautiful weather there in that area
Yeah,
of the country.
we have had a
Perfect
Saturday
for general aviation flying, yeah.
Yeah.
Or any flying.
The weather on Saturday was supposed to be so bad that they declared a state of emergency before it started. They were just like, we're going to presumptively declare a state of emergency. And there was some bad weather, but in our specific area, we missed, the really heavily concentrated stuff. And then
a lot of tornadoes in that area of the country.
Yep. And there were a lot of tornadoes in Nebraska the day before, and then tornadoes in Oklahoma that night. And a couple of tornadoes in south central Kansas, very southern edge of Kansas, but fortunately nothing too bad. And let's see, then was it last night?
They had some last night, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Some more tornadoes last night. And then we had bad weather on Tuesday night, I guess. So we had another big line come through on Tuesday night, got a bunch of hail, but small hail, so it didn't really affect anything. So yeah, it's really been, I got my biannual knocked out, not my biannual, my flight review knocked out the day that I left for Charlotte. Right.
Very nice.
The day that I left for Charlotte, and haven't been able to fly the Luscombe since then because the weather's essentially been horrible ever since. The sunny days, it's just obnoxiously windy. Yeah. And if it's not sunny, it's obviously not a great time to fly because everything's been pretty convective around here. So,
yeah, I flew from Miami to Anchorage the other day, and right over your neck of the woods, a little bit north of there.
Oh yeah.
And the entire area was socked in, and the tops were up to we were at 40. We crossed over at 40,000, and we were maybe 1,000 feet above the tops.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, on Saturday it was.
Yeah, it was bad.
On Saturday, if you looked at the radar, it was basically like a nearly continuous line from Western Texas all the way up to like Hudson Bay. I mean, just the entire United States was split in half by this crazy line.
And it was funny because I remember seeing the weather synoptic chart, and then on the JEP app, you load the weather and all that stuff, and I see the controller, the dispatcher put us right through the middle of it, and I'm going, what the hell, man?
Nice.
I mean, you did not see that? But then I was like, wait a minute, all right, we're empty, we're gonna probably go in 40,000. So I looked at the tops of the weather, and the tops were at high 30s, I was like, well, maybe we're going to be over the top of this, and we were. But it was rocking and rolling. It was pretty bumpy going across. Yeah.
That would
Pretty
not
bad.
have been. I do not miss that. Just like to be.
Ah, come on.
To say, I do not miss that at all.
Continuous ignition, turbulence penetration speed, and just put a lid on your coffee. You're good to go.
There you go. The boxes don't mind, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We had no boxes. So.
Oh, well, that's right. You said you were empty.
I was like, oh man, these Delta guys, they're probably like curled up, sucking under their thumbs.
Exactly. Alpha Juliet, anybody else just waiting for Rick to tip that chair just a little too far?
Well, we have a wager going here to see how far along the show that's going to happen. So put your bets in.
And we have a listener poll when it's my turn to do the GTKU or GK2. Getting to know us, GTKU segment. This thing we're doing now.
Why?
Anyway, how about the Debonair? You've been doing a lot of flying in that.
Nope. Haven't even been out to see it since I've been out to the hangar once since I got back. So
that engine's in it now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a few days from being able to fly it. I just haven't had.
Oh man.
Yeah, I haven't had time. I was supposed to.
Soon.
Speaking of our listeners, John Z is a formation instructor, and there's a Bonanza Formation Clinic up in St. Joe, Missouri, which is, half an hour north of Kansas City or something. And we had been talking, and I was supposed to be up there. First, I was supposed to be up there with my airplane, so he could fly with me in my airplane. And then when my progress waned, and I didn't think I'd have enough time flown off the engine, I was just going to go up there and meet him and ride along with him. And then, unfortunately, it kept regressing to the point where I had to email him a couple days ago and said, I'm just not going to make it. So
ain't going to happen.
One of these days we'll get that sorted out. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Nice.
It'll be a good time.
Yep.
Okay. And your family doing all right? Everything else in your life good?
Yeah, getting close to. We got a couple of weeks left for school and starting to make summer plans and all that sort of stuff. So.
Wow.
Yep.
Time moves on.
Yep.
All right, Steph.
Yes.
How have you been? Have you been doing some jumper dumping?
Yeah, a little bit. Some of it has not been overly exciting, but not. I didn't really talk about it last week because we did so much meetup recap. But the weekend before was a little more interesting. Some days are just like a challenge from the get-go. I had to hold short on the runway for a baby deer that got loose on the field that was running around. It was probably 4 or 5 days old. It was tiny.
Wow.
Very cute, but it was on the runway or very close to the runway. And then we had one of our aircraft have a mechanical issue. So we were supposed to be flying 2 airplanes all day and we had to go back down to 1. And then we had our fair share of thunderstorm issues as well. Where so Rick was talking about those tops being just around 40,000. The one that produced the biggest damage, probably about 10, 15 miles north of the field where the drop zone is, had tops over 50,000, like 530. Produced up to 3-inch diameter hail and like 60 to 90 mile an hour downbursts of wind. So
that's like softball size hail.
I mean, it destroyed a lot of stuff in this very concentrated, narrow band. But I mean, it's one of those things where you really get it reminds you of the appreciation or respect that you need to have for thunderstorms of that size, because even though it was never directly over the field, if you look straight up, clear blue skies, you can see it off to the distance in the north, produced quite a bit of strong ground winds. So we actually cut our operations short for the day because it wasn't safe to continue them. And it's hard to explain that to folks who don't have a good background in meteorology, as I'm sure some of the pilots know. You're trying to explain, well, we can't go because of the weather. And they go, well, it looks great. I see the sun and it's fine. And it's like, yes, I understand, but trust me.
And I'm talking to Joe and he's over and so-and-so. They're out having a picnic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so that was fun. So, some days are more eventful than others. That was a more eventful day. And it was, props to the approach, the TRACON guys and gals locally here, because they were working nonstop. I feel like a couple times I was on the radio with them and they just never stopped talking, just trying to get planes vectored around some of these big storms and holding and diversions. And I was like, hey, okay, 1 minute till parachutes, yay! Just sneaking in there. But no, they did a great job. So.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. I think Miami Rick, since our last show, has been in that same hotel room this entire time, just sitting there at the desk.
Yeah, no, I haven't even left. I've been sitting here this whole time. I had beer delivered.
Nice.
Yeah. No. So yeah. Since last week, I went down to South America. The day after the show, I took a commercial flight on my old airline, actually, LATAM Line Airlines, on a 787 down to Sao Paulo. And when we landed in Sao Paulo, I quickly remembered why I hate to travel as a passenger. We get in there, and the line to go through immigration was, oh gosh, it took us 2 hours to get through the damn thing. Yay. And then I still had an hour 45 limo ride from Sao Paulo to Campinas, which is the city where we're going. We were going to fly the jet back to Miami the following day. So there is most of the freight operations in southeastern Brazil happen in Campinas. It's a big freighter hub for Brazil there. So yeah, so went to Campinas, spent the night, and then that evening we took the jet from Campinas onto Santiago. I took that leg because it's the first time I'd flown it in a long time. I used to do that all the time on the 777. But it was kind of nice to do it on the 74 for the first time, and after almost 10 years, I'm not doing it. So I landed in Santiago in the middle of the night, and hats off to the loading and unloading crew there in Santiago. Holy, those guys, just amazing. So they opened the nose door, and as they were taking freight off the back of the jet, they were loading freight in the front of the jet, and so they had us buttoned up and ready to go inside of an hour and 15 minutes, and it was great. So yeah, then after that we flew Santiago to Miami, and then I sat in Miami until the other day. Flew Miami to Anchorage, and then took a commercial flight Anchorage, Seattle to LA, and I'm here in LA. Tomorrow I'm on a commercial flight down to Dallas, and then from Dallas on to Hong Kong. So wow. for some good food over there. And I had something really interesting happen to me on the flight out of Miami. I show up and I get the paperwork, and we had a certain dispatch item that wasn't operational, and it was so just a little backstory on that. Certain systems on the airplane can be unserviceable as long as they are not required for certain types of operations. So you can basically be legally dispatched with things that are not working properly, right? So the thing that I showed up and saw here was on the flight plan, it said that the rudder, pedal, nose, wheel, steering system was inop. So basically what that means is that I couldn't steer the airplane using rudder pedals. And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. I haven't had that happen to me before. And there's this whole procedure where it basically says that it may be inoperative provided other systems are not impaired, landing approach minimums not required, automatic rollout guidance system, and it's a Cat 2, Cat 3 restricted item. So basically no auto lands, because when you auto land, the rudder and the nose wheel steering have to be working, because that's how the autopilot steers down the center line of the runway. So basically, the procedure to take off and land, basically it tells you that on takeoff, you have to steer the airplane down the runway with the tiller until you get to about 60 to 80 knots, when the rudder becomes effective. At that point, the first officer, so as you begin the takeoff roll, the first officer has to apply light forward pressure on the yoke, which is what you would normally do. Once you get to about 80 knots and the rudder becomes effective, the first officer lets go of the yoke. I let go of the tiller. I put my hand on the yoke and then take off normally. And then on the landing, obviously, it's reversed. And the interesting thing about this is that maybe about a week before, on those, I don't know, I just happened to be reading about quirky airplanes, and I read that the Saab 2000, it's this turboprop passenger carrying airliner that's very popular in Europe, not so much in the States. I don't think I've ever seen. Although not the 2000, the 340, I think American Eagle used to operate that one, but the 2000 I haven't seen. And the 2000 has a system where the rudder pedals are not connected to nose wheel steering, and that's just their normal operation. So I thought, if these guys do it in and out every day, then
I can do it.
I can do it too.
Twin otter.
Is that how it is?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
But the rudder's so huge that you really don't need that much air flowing over it to have rudder authority for directional control.
Really?
But yeah, the tiller takes a little bit of getting used to. That's always.
Oh, I remember you were sending me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's the tiller on the water
it's
again?
on the yoke. Like it's an up-down lever.
Up and down.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, as you line up, you kind of just do these very little like movements with it because you don't want to have your hand on it and just be moving it up and down because it will very much oversteer.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll just go right off the side of the runway. But yeah,
I guess the hardest part of it is, when you're used to doing things a certain way, it's almost like second nature. But then when something isn't working, like the nose wheel steering on the rudder pedals is like, okay, you have to really, think about what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and because of that very reason, at the end there's a couple of notes that says, note number 3: Captain only takeoff and landing, because if something's going to happen, it's going to be my fault.
Yes.
And then
it always
is. It always is, right? And then the next two notes are Cat 2, Cat 3 not authorized, which we talked about, and obviously number 5, notify dispatch because they need to be aware of it. So that was that was interesting. Got to do that, and so the way I figured I'd hold the tiller instead of holding it with my camera over here, like instead of holding it like this, I just hold it with 2 fingers so that I wouldn't overcorrect or oversteer.
What about like using your feet? Like just put your feet up on it.
That's you know what? See, the interesting so people think that the cockpit on the 747 is this big area. It's tiny. I was like, really? So I'm pretty broad-shouldered, and the window, I'm just about up against the window on the 747, and it's and the ceiling is super low. The overhead panel's right here, and you're on the very, very pointy end of it, so it's uncomfortable. I mean,
that's how the DC-3 is.
Yeah, I was most surprised about when I actually did walk up into a 747 cockpit and went, wow, this is like the size of a 727 cockpit, and a 707 cockpit, and a 737. I mean, it's like, I'm sure there are differences, but it's pretty tiny for such a big airplane.
Yeah. 777, comfy. 76, comfy. 74, not so much.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, okay. Anything else, Rick?
No, that's it. What's up with you, Jeff?
All right. You mentioned also, just as an aside, I know you're not far from the Proud Bird.
Oh, yeah.
At Los Angeles International Airport.
Indeed.
And you spent some quality time there?
I did. So yesterday, I went to the gym early, and then I figured, let's go have some beers and watch some airplanes. Why the hell not? So I went out there. It's about a 20-minute Uber ride out there from the hotel. I timed it so that I had to get in around 1. Start to catch all the freighters and the heavy heavy traffic from Europe. And this place sits right outside the airport perimeter, Aviation Boulevard, I think it's called, on the approach end of runway 25 left and 25 right. So you got those big airplanes coming in. And it wasn't too busy until about 5 o'clock, and I guess everybody gets off work at 5 o'clock. I think that's the norm, and so everybody kind of starts showing up, and it was really cool because they have this whole area where they have little airplane display outside with they have a Blue Angel A4, they have a MiG-17, they have an X-1, the airplane that first broke the sound barrier, C-47 and P-38s and others, and then they have a nice grassy area there. So you had parents kicking the ball around with their kids and playing catch and just having a dinner out there just as the airplanes flew overhead. So it's just it felt like it's just. And the weather yesterday, well, sunny Southern California, they didn't call it that for nothing. It was great weather, so it was beautiful. Just sitting out there and watching airplanes.
They still have the sound system piped in of the tower control and.
No, I didn't see that. No, was that something? Really?
That was something they had years ago. When Rick was showing me some pictures, I didn't recognize hardly anything about the Proud Bird because they've done a huge renovation on the restaurant. But it opened, I think, what did we find out? Like 1969 or
something like that.
67, sometime in the 60s. And I do remember going there when I was a kid, and a couple of times since then. And it was getting pretty run down, but one of the cool features was that they had on the speakers, they had the air traffic control, communications, pilot communications, that kind of thing. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to do a meetup out there sometime.
Absolutely. It'd be a Southern California meetup over there. Good
Absolutely.
stuff.
Excellent. All right. So I'll try to do this quickly, Liz. Okay. I mentioned that I have to make some corrections. We were talking about a story. This is from George Hollis and Jeffrey Mirsapazzi. I'm not sure how you pronounce your last name, Jeff. We'll just say Jeff M. Hey, Cap Jeff, number 613 correction, Sequim, I think is what I called it, is pronounced Squim. And let's see. Oh my God, it's cringeworthy listening to you guys butcher our Seattle area town and the wing walker segment. Remember the story about the guy that had the people doing weird things on the wing, and like just regular people, not people that trained to do it.
Turns out an acquaintance of mine from like high school actually did that. I had forgotten, and then after all of that happened, she reshared her post about it, so it was pretty funny.
Wow.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Anyway,
that is crazy. Anyway, he said that John Wayne frequented Squim Bay aboard the Wild Goose, I think his yacht, and bought a big chunk of land in that area. He envisioned a marina in the scenic bay, and the John Wayne Marina, featured in SEA magazine as Best of the West for small marinas, was constructed in 1985 on 22 acres of land donated by the John Wayne family. The Wayne family still owns 150 areas in Squim, where John Wayne's acres, I'm sorry. I need to clean my glasses. The Wayne family still owns 150 acres in Squim, where John Wayne's waterfront resort is located. Steps from the marina invites visitors to enjoy getaways or extended stays in cabins or the RV park. RV park? Hey, I'm going to have to visit Squim. So we got the good old, yeah.
In our defense, I think we were pretty open that there were like 8 of us around that table and none of us knew how to say that town name.
No. Yeah, it was. We were all equally ignorant, and I asked. I called up John Wayne, and he's in heaven, but he had this to say.
You can call me Father. You can call me Jacob. You can call me Jake. You can call me a dirty son of a bitch. But if you ever call me Daddy again, I'll finish this fight.
Good luck, Pilgrim.
All right. I had fun finding those quotes or those sound clips.
Very nice.
Okay, I'll put a little link to that information about the John Wayne Marina in the show notes. I received something in the mail, snail mail, just the other day, and it's perplexing because I don't know who sent this to me. It was an international parcel, I think from England. I'm not sure. I think it's from Great Britain, International Standard, and it has the British pound denomination on it. Sent to Captain J. Nielsen at my address here in Roswell. Let me look at the stamp, see if maybe I can figure out. Here, maybe you guys can look at this and tell what that is. You can't see it? Huh?
It looks like the UK-ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay, so inside is this very large card. Here, let me do this. Let me solo my view so there's more. There we go. RV Jeff, you're on the road to retirement. And then it's kind of like a map with a bottle of wine here, which is good. Fizzy wine.
I like it.
And it says, see, it has like writing in here. Jeff's a multi-millionaire. Millions of miles flown, millions of happy passengers, millions of wonderful memories, millions of devoted listeners, millions of places to go, and all the time in the world to do it. Millions of bottles of beer, too, I think. Here's to a very happy retirement in your traveling home. That's on the little page here. There we go. And then on the back, it says, Happy Mappy, Laura Silviera. And I would think, oh, I don't know who that is. Well, that happens to be the artist that came up with the design for this card. I went to the site just to
by the
make
person
sure.
who sent it.
But there's nobody. I mean, I don't know who sent this to me. And then there's this like this very hard cardboard envelope in here, but there's nothing in here, and I. No, I'm sure that Captain Nick didn't send that. So I don't know. So whoever did, send me Jeff at airlinepilotguy.com and let me know who sent this, because I'd like to thank you. Yeah,
that is very nice. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of my RV, do I have any news? Yes. Well, and I'm still kind of a little confused by this, because the whole timeline, to me, I thought it would be like tomorrow. It would be ready for me to head down there and pick it up. But according to the lady that gave me the tour, I kind of bugged her a little bit and said, you have any ideas? Like, I'm trying to plan my life and my flight down to Central Florida and that kind of thing. And she said that it will have arrived by the 10th, which is a week from tomorrow. So, yeah, next Friday. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited regardless. Getting close, yep. Let's see. Oh, and then I received this directly to me, Jeff at airlinepilotguy.com, from Greg, one of our listeners. Hey, Jeff, just got done listening to 614 when you were talking about taking delivery of your RV. It occurred to me that you have the mooch list going, but I was wondering if you had plans to let the community know where you're traveling or stopping between mooch locations. It's mooch docking, Greg. Mooch just sounds bad. Mooch docking sounds much better, I think. Anyway, I've missed out on a couple of meetups in Oklahoma City. He said, RIP Backdoor Barbecue. Oh, I guess they closed. I would love to catch you if you happen to be driving through or stopping for the night. I think a dedicated Slack channel on your whereabouts would be great in letting the community know where you are headed. And again, that was from Greg. I think Greg Masterson. Greg M. Anyway, so I kind of reactivated. I'm thinking, well, I used to have this Twitter ID or Twitter account called Where is Captain Jeff? Where, WHEREISCAPTJEFF, that I used to like check in and show where my location was and everything else. And I stopped using it back. I think I reactivated it. Well, I guess it never went inactive, but it was still there. The last tweet that I made was back in 2019. So it's still there. They didn't cancel my account. And so I'm thinking, well, I could probably start using that again and tell people where I am and then where, what my general itinerary is. I don't want to give an exact location just in case, stalkers are out there trying to kill me or something. But you got to be somewhat safe with this kind of thing. But so I'm thinking that's the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to start using that again. I'm sorry, what, Liz? Oh, look at that. Oh, we still have the banner. Or did you just make that up? Oh, thank you, Liz. Wow, she's so good. She just made that on the fly. Where is CAPTJEFF, my X ID for that particular purpose? So thank you, Liz, and thank you, Greg, for asking. And I'll try to, because pretty soon, this apartment is going to be a thing of the past, and my home will be wherever I am. I'll be taking my home with me everywhere. And finally, before we move on to feedback, somebody had some issues with, I think, using the iPad OS Apple Podcasts. It wasn't current. I think the last show that showed up in his iPad was from like March 25th, and I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. So I fired up my phone and Apple Podcast, which I normally don't use, and saw that everything was up to date in that, and hadn't heard from anybody else. So I had a couple of ideas for him, but he worked it out himself, by the way. But one of the things I noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but Apple Podcasts now has this transcript thing. I guess they're using AI in there, and you can click that button, and it actually has a transcript of what we are saying, and it really is astonishingly accurate. And it even takes out, like, it doesn't write down all the, I say probably a couple of thousand in a show, and it doesn't write down any of those. I'm thinking, well, that's nice. I'm not sure about the Talons Douglas thing yet. I think it's a little bit better than Google's algorithm or AI. But I was really impressed. And then you can be reading along and then like click to a different part on the paragraph, and it just advances to that in the audio. It's so cool. I mean, you can actually read along during the podcast, which I just thought was pretty cool. And then it made me think, oh my goodness, this is not a good thing. This is now everything that we're saying is being written down.
It's all right. It's already in video format for
well, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
And nothing ever really leaves the internet.
That's true. So anytime you do something or post something on the internet, even if you think it's private, just assume that somehow everybody's going to see it. So be careful out there. Yeah, I do want to say something about Stefan. He sent us some feedback, and oh, you know what? Oh, it is? Well, why don't I don't see it. Oh, it's for some reason it's not loading on this page, Liz, but I thought you had it in your slides. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's Stefan at Lufthansa headquarters. He's being our APG ambassador and spreading the APG brand far and wide. So Lufthansa headquarters there. Yeah, I guess that would be where, in Frankfurt? I think.
Yeah, I would definitely not London.
Yeah, not London for sure. This next one is Hong Kong.
Okay, that looks familiar.
Looks nice, and that's Hong Kong Harbor, I guess. That's the airplane that he flew out to Hong Kong. Well, I mean, he flew in. Yeah, gotcha. Very, very good. Yeah, and so all these, well, you should be looking at these images in the chapter markers or chapter images on your podcast playing device, or if you're watching the video, obviously, you're seeing those fine pictures of Stefan and wearing the APG ball cap. So thank you very much for that. Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about the... Okay, we'll be able to knock out a bunch of feedback, hopefully. Here's the cover art from our last episode, and Captain Nick spent a lot of time compiling this montage of... is that what we call it, a montage?
I'd call it a montage.
Of photos from the last few weeks. Most of these, I think, come from our meetup at the Brewers at 4001 Yancey, and it's just a masterpiece of this photographic collage, and I think that everybody that's wearing an Acme Airlines logo hat is displaying the Acme logo, so that's pretty easy. And then even in the background there, you can see the APG or the Acme Airlines logo.
I'm still just very confused and concerned as to why Jeff is injecting my head.
Well, I don't remember that happening, actually. Okay. I think that might be a Photoshop manipulation by Captain Nick. Yeah, an enhancement. Yeah. In fact, Liz said she liked my... what's the Frankenstein appearance in my hair. But actually that photo, I was on this air mattress, which is right behind me, lying down, and I was holding up something. It wasn't a syringe. I'm not sure what it was that I was holding up, but no, I don't. Probably not a beer because I don't think I would be lying flat trying to drink a beer. I'm stupid.
You never know. It depends on what number of beer it is.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't recall exactly what I was holding, but it was not that big giant syringe that I'm poking into Steph's head, and that's why my hair looks so weird. So I'm, it was horizontal. Show number is on the Funyun. Oh, yeah, look at that, because on the real Funyun box says 50 bags, but we have in this special box 614 bags. That's a lot of Funyuns.
Yeah, that's a lot of bang for your
Maybe
buck.
that's just the total number of Funyuns you would get out of 50 small bags of Funyuns.
Maybe
Individual Funyuns.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. Anyway, yeah. So it was a very nice piece of cover art by our cover art genius. And what else did we want to do? Oh, do Coffee Fund. Yeah, we didn't do Coffee Fund on the last show. So this is Coffee Fund for 614 and 615. So let me play the Coffee Fund thing while we get all kinds of weird things going on in the video. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah. Coffee Fund. It's your way to support the Airline Pilot Guy Show financially. And if you want to do that, yeah, there are a couple different ways. And one is the Coffee Fund Classic method. If you'll share that, Liz. There we go. Thank you. The Coffee Fund Classic method, we had, and this is basically a one-off or every once in a while kind of a donation mechanism. Although we do have a few that are recurring contributors using the Coffee Fund Classic. Dennis Tyson, Rich Adams, Mazutz Kareem, and Alexander Fisher, or maybe it's Alex Fisher. I don't know. Oh, okay. He was in the chat room earlier. Okay, great. Anyway, they all gave wonderful donations to that mechanism. And the other way that you can support the show, you can become a patron of the show via Patreon. And we have a couple of people. We have a new producer, Eric Middleton. And then we have a couple of new executive producers, Derek Lewis and Errol. We'll call him Funyun Man. Yurtkren, I think, is the way you pronounce his last name. From now on, though, we're just going to call you Errol Funyuns, if you don't mind. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining Patreon. And if you're interested yourself in figuring out how you can become part of this wonderful group of people, you can head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. And we will too. By the way, speaking of the website, again, it's still working flawlessly. Thanks again to Erwin and Dan for doing the move and kind of managing that, and also Dan for providing the server space for our platform. We do appreciate that. And you were saying, Liz? We have some feedback. Yay!
Captain, incoming message.
All right, we're going to start with this from Anonymous. El Piloto had some great feedback about autopilot use during a go-around in reference to the 737 overrun or the runway excursion at Houston Intercontinental. A few corrections, clarifications, however. I'm pretty sure that the first airplane to execute the go-around, United Airlines 1383, had already disconnected their autopilot. We don't hear the sound of the autopilot disconnect audio when they're given a go-around, though it's easy in a Boeing to kick off the autopilot without getting the audio. I think they already broke out, and in the U.S., most pilots will kick off the autopilot once visual with the runway is established. The second aircraft, SkyWest 5276, can be heard kicking off the autopilot, but that's because the autopilot in a CRJ won't transition from approach mode to go-around mode, and it lacks auto throttles. Because of this, When you hit the GA buttons in a CRJ, the autopilot automatically kicks off. This is actually a technique for turning off the autopilot in the CRJ during a landing as the flight director goes into the GA mode. So if you need it for a balked landing, the flight director is already in the correct pitch position. The third airplane, UAL 1201, is left in that in-between when given the go-around. They're in approach mode and given an altitude and heading by ATC. These are some of the hardest go-arounds to do, actually. Since they're in approach mode, they have several ways to do this, but there isn't a, quote, soft go-around in the Boeing. You have to get the autopilot out of approach mode either by hitting GA or turning the autopilot off, then turning the flight directors off, then on. If not briefed, it might be easier for the flying pilot to kick off the autopilot and hand fly, looking through the flight directors until the non-flying pilot gets things set up in this situation, rather than hitting go around and activating Saturn V mode, especially as they are given runway heading in 2,000 feet. Something fairly simple. It does seem that UAL 1201 was in a better position to deal with the go-around than the first airplane. They were probably listening and expecting the go-around command. I do agree 100% with El Pilato's ATC feedback. Go-arounds in real life are nothing like what is normally given in training. In training, it's normal to get a go-around as published or runway heading. In real life, when we get a go-around command, are told a completely different heading and altitude than published, often an altitude we are climbing through. Then we are given an approach frequency different from the one we were just on. While doing the missed approach procedure is something we probably haven't practiced in 6+ months. Great show, and even better points by El Pilato, and food for thought for pilots and ATC. And again, that is from Anonymous.
Yeah, a couple of things in that go around. So when there is a lot of traffic and you're tailing someone very closely on landing, high density areas, I tend to leave the autopilot on until the aircraft that's preceding us is off the runway and we're clear to land, especially at the end of a very, very long, 14, 15 plus hour sector. Because doing a manual go around at the end of that, oftentimes in the weather, it's not something I want to put myself through. There's a time and a place to hand fly, and in my estimation, that's not one of them. If you do, however, disconnect the autopilot and you find yourself doing a manual go around, which I did the other day, where was I? I forget where it was, but it was my first officer's first ever go around on the 747. Depending on the Boeing, but it's usually you can re-automate in the neighborhood of about 250 feet above the ground, so you can go right up to the autopilot, re-automate, and just remember that on Boeings, when you hit the toga switch once, it's only going to command 2,000 feet a minute climb, so it's not like you're, Saturn V mode. You will engage Saturn V mode if you hit the toga switch a second time. You'll get a full thrust reference thrust, and that will put you, out to the moon. But the way to get around
also with a 737, though?
I am not sure. I've never flown a 737.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so. I think the 737 is Saturn V mode, like
is that right?
Mad Dog was.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, 7.5, 7.4, 777, 7.8. 7.6. Yeah, you get two pushes. I'm not sure on the 7.3. But despite that, all you really have to do to get out of Saturn V mode really is just give the automatic flight director system and auto throttle system another vertical mode. Get it out of toga and go to either flight level change or vertical speed or something that'll get you out of thrust reference, and that'll bring the engines the power back. Another issue with go-arounds that not a lot of people think about is you usually associate a go-around with capturing your go-around altitude from below. But oftentimes, ATC does tell you to discontinue the approach and fly the published altitude, capture that from above. So how do you do that? And yeah, that's true. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. Obviously, one of them is what the feedback there mentioned. You disconnect the autopilot, cycle both flight directors, and then re-automate, or you just hand fly it first and then get stabilized and re-automate that way. Or what I do sometimes is, when that's happened to me, I'll do it on autopilot. I'll hit toga once, and then I'll immediately go. So I'll hit toga and immediately go to altitude hold. That'll get my auto throttle out of go around mode, and that'll take care of my vertical mode. And then I'll go to LNAV or localizer, whatever it is that ATC wants me to track, or head and select, whatever it is. And once I'm on altitude hold, I already have the missed approach altitude set on the mode control panel, because that's part of capturing the glide slope. You capture the glide slope, you set your missed approach altitude, right? And so since I'm in an altitude hold, the airplane is going to softly try to reacquire the altitude at which I hit the button. And then once I'm there, all I really have to do is go to vertical speed and dial in a vertical speed that'll get me down. You know, if I was flying a normal approach, 700, 800 feet a minute, just keep coming down on vertical speed now, capture my missed approach altitude from above, and keep tracking laterally whatever it is that ATC wanted. So it's really not that big a deal. It's just that it's true. We don't really get to fly it as often as we do in training. So it does startle you, which is why I would much rather do it on autopilot than hand fly it.
Mm-hmm. So. I found that the easiest way for me when I was in that situation was just look over at my first officer and say, "You have the airplane.
Your controls."
And all I have to do is just.
I was going into. It was in China. Yeah, they put us on they gave us the ILS to the right side of the field, and there was this pesky cloud on the east side of the field. And we got to, I remember we were coming down the glide slope, and I'm like, that bank of cloud seems to be right around where.
Was the right side of the field also the east side of the field? Is that what you said? The right and the east?
Yeah. Well, okay. You're going, if you're landing to the north, I guess.
I was a little confused too. I'm going, I'm trying to picture this, but you're using left, right, and east, west. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, so I'm sorry. I should have said we're landing runway 35 right.
Okay.
There we go.
That helps.
So yeah,
you knew
exactly. Sorry about that.
But what time zone were we in?
Oh, good Lord. Exactly.
No
it was the middle. Shimmy Dammer was not working, actually. No, but yeah, so there was that cloud on that side, and then went around, came back around. They vectored us to the left side, so the west side of the field, and everything was fine. So
yeah. I just in my experience for me, and I guess because of the way I learned how to fly, it's just so much easier for me just to turn everything off, just start doing what I'm supposed to. I was instructed to do, and then having the person I'm flying with, update everything, and then when everything's ready to go, we just start adding the automation on again.
But that's the problem, because I mean, you're hand flying now, so now everything is on the PM. Talking on the radios, talking on the radios.
That's what they're trained to do.
Exactly. That's what they get paid.
Get my money's worth out of this first officer.
I buy the beers on the ground.
Corey Cave, soft go around on the 321 is very civilized. Yeah, along with your stupid tray table too. I know, Corey.
I was gonna say, well, you can't disturb whatever's on the tray table,
I know.
right? So
exactly.
That's
why they have
that.
Smooth.
Can't spoil
that glass of wine.
Yeah.
Can't spill your tea and your crumpets. So
I know. 2 words, Corey. Tray, table. Yeah, we got it. Okay, number 5. You sure you don't want to do number 4? Okay.
Number 4 might be my favorite that I've ever seen in Evernote.
I love that one. Yeah. Let's do number 4.
Yeah, there's nothing in that. It's my fault. It's my fault. Okay, this is from Sam. Let's see. A 33-year-old United Airlines Boeing 767, which everyone thought would be scrapped after sustaining major damage, is returning to the skies. And I believe, wasn't this also at Houston Intercontinental Airport? I believe it was. Let's see. The aircraft in question, we did cover it after it happened. The aircraft in question is a Boeing 767-322, which was delivered new to UAL, United Airlines, in 1991. United plans to eventually replace its fleet of aging 767s with brand new Airbus A321XLR aircraft. Yeah, Corey, you're happy. But these new planes aren't expected to start joining United's fleet until 2025 at the earliest. The 767 and the A321XLR that will replace it have a unique role in United's fleet, primarily serving long and thin routes, so that might go some way to explain why United decided it was worth spending a significant amount of time and money to repair such an old aircraft. November 641 UA was damaged after an otherwise routine flight from Newark to Houston Intercontinental on July 29th of last year. As the aircraft landed, the nose wheel made contact with the runway with an abnormal force, according to an NTSB preliminary report. That force
That'll do
was
it.
so abnormal that the nose wheel touched down with a G-force equivalent to about 1.4. Actually, that doesn't seem that bad, but I guess that's not good. A routine post-flight inspection revealed that the crown of the upper fuselage had sustained substantial damage, with wrinkles and tears clearly visible. Yeah, so this type of repair job is unusual, but it's not unheard of. In 2019, a Delta Airlines Boeing 757 sustained similar damage after a hard landing in the Azores. Delta decided to have the aircraft repaired rather than scrapping it, and in that case, the plane was back in service in just 4 months.
Speedy.
Yeah, 7.6 has always had this kind of issue. We've talked about this a lot,
Yeah.
where the position of the spoilers along the chord of the wing, when they pop up, they induce a nose-up moment that, if you don't arrest it properly, could lead to a tail strike. Reason why the 7.6-300 has a tail skid and the 200 doesn't. And so, and during training, they just drill into your head, tail strike, tail strike, tail strike, tail strike. So either the second you feel the nose coming up a little further than it should, inexperienced pilots, and I'm not saying that this is what happened here, but in my experience, because I've flown with a few, they tend to introduce a nose down elevator input, which can lead to this kind of stuff. And then when the slap rate or the derotation rate's too high, then you get these fuselage issues on the 7.6. 777, they fixed this by sequencing the spoiler deployment till you get below 1 degree deck angle, and then they all come up that way. They got rid of that nose up moment. So yeah, but it happens a lot on the 7.6.
Yeah, I think I think the last one that we covered was the DHL that landed like somewhere over like Jordan or Syria or something like that. Somewhere in that area of the world. Yeah, and I think you even were making some commentary about.
Yeah, and it's really, really, really bad when the auto speed brake is in up. So it's important that whoever, at least when I used to fly the 7.6 and the auto speed brake function was in op, I would always take the landing, because it's a balancing act between touchdown and the rate at which the speed brakes or the spoilers deploy and the rate at which you derotate the nose. You kind of have to do them at the same time. And balance one out with the other. So it's kind of hard to explain, but if you pull on the speed brakes and deploy the spoilers too quickly, then you'll really feel that nose coming up, and then you're very likely to introduce that nose down elevator input.
And the 727-200s that we flew at Delta when I was flying in the 90s were all manual speed brake deployment, and it was always the captain's job. And you could, as I said, you could make a bad landing good and a good landing bad just by your technique of deployment of these things. So
absolutely,
it was definitely an art. Oh, okay, let's do that. Let's go to item number 16. Since we were talking about captain-only approaches and landings, this is from Devin in Sacramento. I'm curious to know how a particular airport is designated a captain-only landing. Is it the airport itself that sets that designation, or is it the individual airline? Further, are there captain-only runways, where a particular airport may only have a single runway that would require a captain to land, while the other runways are suitable for the first officer to land the aircraft? That's all from me today. Thanks for the great show. Thank you, Devin. Over to Rick. What say you regarding captain-only landings?
Well, so this was a great question, and I answered. I basically told him that. I'll read my feedback here. So I say, hi, Devin, great question. Which airports are categorized as captain-only really depends on the airline itself, based on a variety of factors, from runway length, predominant weather, surrounding terrain, or other factors that by themselves or as a whole warrant such a call. Basically it depends on depends on the airline. In my case, for example, and this is going back to me flying in Ecuador and South America for all those years, Quito is a captain-only airport, and even then, only captains that have been trained and checked out by a check airman are allowed to operate into that particular field. And the reason behind that is obviously high terrain, very complex, and then the missed approach procedure and engine out procedures are very, very critical in that place because you're surrounded by volcanoes very close in. It's, very high density altitude type airport. At my previous outfit, SEQM and its predecessor, SEQU, which was the Mariscal Sucre airport and the capital that was, right in the city, in the middle of the city. Those were not captains-only airports. And in fact, I used to give those out to the FO all the time. So that just basically confirms that distinction to an airport is given to by the airline. There are other restrictions where the captain is required to take the landing during a specific time of day, like during nighttime operations and poor visibility, but the FO may make the landing during the daytime and good visibility, and that's the case for our outfit in Bogota. So the FO can take the landing during the day and good weather, but the captain has to take it at night. However, the captain has to take the takeoff out of Bogota no matter what because of the engine out procedure. In case that happens. And then to end here, it says there are other reasons why the captain would take the landing at a particular airport, even if the airport itself isn't categorized as captain only, like FO crosswind limitations or the FO's overall experience in the jet. But for example, Hong Kong is one of those airports where on the operational flight plan, next to the name of the airport, Hong Kong, you'll get a little Q for qualification. And basically that means that the captain cannot give that landing to the FO if the FO has less than 100 hours on the jet. The only time the FO could take that landing into a Q categorized airport is if the captain is a check airman. And
right.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again.
I always thought the people that did that, good on you, because that's a lot of extra work, and I think maybe just a little bit more money. But
it's like a 10-15% override, and it's just
no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I like to fly.
But good on you for doing it.
Exactly. God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you.
As for individual runways at a specific field where only the captain can land, but the FO can't operate into another, I can't think of. Yeah, I couldn't think of any of those. Perhaps you guys can think of one, but I couldn't think of any.
I think another reason why it might be a captain's only landing is because the captain just selfish and just wants to do everything himself.
Velcro hands. Yeah. Oh, there are airports though where for example, FOs, no matter the kind of FO, you can't land there as long as the FO is in training. Campinas is one of them because VCP is one of them because of the. It's so landing in a runway 15 in Campinas, the terrain rises rapidly towards the runway, and and then there's this big hump on the right at the touchdown zone of the runway. So the sight picture is very, very weird. It looks like you're very high. So you tend to come in lower than you should, and then the problem with that is that with that bump at the beginning of the runway, you end up having a lot of hard landings, and historical data for a lot of airlines show hard landings on runway 15. In fact, when I was flying the triple years ago, an MD-11 from an airline called what the hell was it called? Skyleys, I think it was. They collapsed a main landing gear landing on runway 15 there because of a hard landing. Yeah, so I mean that runway is a tricky one to land on. It's funny because on that runway, it's one of those runways where you cannot use your peripheral vision to land because the sight picture is so weird, even peripherally. And so my technique on that one has always been when the radio altimeter calls 50, just flare at 50 because the runway will meet up. We'll come up and meet you. So
I've been in a couple of those airports and specific runways where you get that weird sight picture and you're going, it looks normal to me, and the thing's going like glide slope. And you go, how could that possibly be? It says you're below the glide slope. No, I'm not. And then, you get on the glide slope and you go, wow, we're way too high. And then you just start.
That's what I thought. Remember I asked you about Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
I was dead on, 2 and 2 in
Yeah.
the Pappies on the glide slope. Everything was, but it just like the runway looked weird. It's like
What was the
it looked
visibility
it was-
like? Was it kind of not very good?
No, it was great visibility.
Oh,
Cav okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a lot of that radiation
Mm-hmm.
distortion that you get out in the desert. It just the runway looked very, very steep.
Yeah, it's been so long since
but I
landed at
looked
Vegas.
at the 10.9 and looked
Yeah.
at the 10.9 and the
Normal
Pappies were
glide path.
3 degrees. I looked at
Yeah.
the 10.1 and the glide slips 3 degrees, and threshold crossing
Weird.
height was 50 feet, and that was
Those
fine.
illusions really throw you off. Neil Landworm in our live audience says, is there a basic level of experience needed for a captain-only landing? What if the FO has a lot of experience flying into that airport, even if they didn't ever take the landing?
Yeah, that's a great question as well, and it's one of those things where it's written in black and white. Captain takes the landing no matter what. And in fact, my last trip to Bogota, my last layover in Bogota in January, I flew with a very, very senior first officer who'd been flying into Bogota, when I was in grade school. But I'm the captain of the flight, and the regs say that I have to land at night, and I had to. So that's just how it is.
Does not preclude you or prevent you from asking them about, hey, do you have any advice or tips?
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
you've ridden through this many times.
Absolutely right. And that's just it. And the whole thing about being a captain is you do not. It's just the amount of experience that some of these first officers have, and how heavily you rely on their experience and their input and their and things that you haven't been through that they have, particularly people that are older and grayer than you. The fact that you're a captain doesn't really mean that you know more. It's just that you're there because you got to the airline first, and your seniority number was called up first. And that's really all it is.
You're better looking as well. I think that's part of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that goes without saying. I'm just kidding.
That's not true.
Rick missed the clause about the mustache, though. I'm not sure how he was allowed to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Oh, I forgot to do the poll in getting to know. So I'm not. This is the first time in my life I've tried to grow a beard, because I wasn't allowed to have a beard all these years at Delta. I could have the mustache, but not the beard. But this is like more than a week. This is like almost 2 weeks, and it's not really growing. That I have a lot of Scandinavian. Although somebody did point out to me the Vikings were Scandinavian and they had big giant beards. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with you? I said I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for a very long time.
They used to braid it too, right?
Huh?
I mean, the Vikings used to braid their beards. They should do that.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that point.
You're getting there.
So, yeah, we need feedback. Beard, yes or up or down. I think it makes me look even older than I am. But it's in that kind of.
You're in that
because you've never. Yeah, you need to give it more time. It's too soon to weigh in on it.
I just want to get rid of it. But okay. The nice thing about it though is I was talking with Captain Nick earlier, who has a very nice beard, and as you do as well, Nick. Come on, I think if your name's Nick, you have to have a beard. But I
think it's a Nick thing. Absolutely,
I think so. Yeah, and that's why I'm a little out of out of bounds. I think trying to grow one, but. The nice thing is that when it's time for me to go take a shower, I go in there and just, wash my hair and wash everything, and then boom, I'm out. I don't have to take the time to do the shaving and stuff. Just don't shave the mustache. Yeah, I know. That story, for so many years, just a quick recap. For so many years, my wife and my kids told me, because they saw pictures of me when I was a younger man and I didn't have a mustache. And they said, Daddy, never, ever, ever shave your mustache. And that's what Linda told me many, many times. And when I went through my little divorce thing, I'm thinking, well, hey, nobody around to tell me whether or not I can have a mustache or not. So I shaved it off. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, now I'm seeing what they're seeing.
They were actually correct on this.
Never do that again, Jeff. Oh, AJ, Alpha Juliet can't give feedback until there is a beard to judge. Ooh, burn. Okay,
true.
That's why I'm thinking I'll probably just shave it off before I get any more ridicule from you people. We'll see. All right, let's see. number 17. Yeah, let's do that. Let's move right on to that. This is from, thank you again, Devin, for that question
great
about
question.
captain
Thank
only
you.
takeoffs and landings. This is from Steve. Good afternoon, crew. Thank you for the great podcast. I have a question for the airline pilots. Okay. So Camacho and Steph, if you can just like cover your ears so you don't hear this.
I've just been taking an extended break here because you guys have been talking about all these captain things.
Oh,
and
sorry.
Like, you know,
sorry.
Hey, I'm enjoying my beer, and
Oh.
I'm learning things from you guys too.
I'm
That's
not.
part of the reason why I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. So,
We had to
anyway.
revisit the shimmy damper thing anyway. So
Okay, well, yeah. Make sure you and don't drink the all day. Drink the 7.5% stuff.
I still
so we
have
can
to
get
work
a good
tomorrow.
reading. Okay. I have a question for the. Okay, I live approximately 10 miles from Heathrow, and roughly once a week, a departure goes by that still has its gear down. Why is this? Kindest regards from Steve. And looks like Rick attempted to give him feedback. By the way, that was that never got to him because
it never did.
Yeah, because you replied, but it only went back to the feedback address and not to.
I
to
must
this
have been. I
young
must have
man.
been
But
on the crew bus at the end of a very long day.
But
I
he's
apologize.
listening now, so we're answering it in real
There you
time.
go. In real
There you
time.
go.
How about that? So
Yes, go ahead,
I'll,
sir.
I'll read what I wrote. So I
Okay.
said here, oftentimes airliners are dispatched with a brake unit deactivated, and the wheel assembly needs to spin down by itself prior to being retracted into the gear bay. Otherwise, the gyroscopic forces associated with a spinning wheel would put undue stress on the gear retraction mechanism on the hydraulics as a whole. So basically, when you put the landing gear up, the brakes are applied under normal circumstances, right? So that's what I'm basically saying in this next paragraph here. Under normal circumstances, what the gear is like, once the gear is selected to up, immediately after takeoff, brakes are automatically applied to the main landing gear as part of its normal retraction sequence. Next time you see a video of an airliner retracting its gear, pay attention to the puff of black brake dust that the mains put out prior to getting tucked into the gear base. So that's basically what happens there. That's why sometimes you see airliners taking off and they leave the landing gear out for the first couple of seconds of flight. One thing that you have to take into account when doing that is so we have what's called second segment climb. And second segment climb, there's basically 4 segments to a takeoff. Second segment climb is the moment is the segment between the moment you become airborne and the moment until the landing gear is put away. And the reason why that is so critical is because you're very, very close to the ground and you need to clear certain obstacles, right, to fly safely. And so if you're unable to retract the landing gear immediately after takeoff, then that second segment climb can be, affected very negatively, and you could not possibly not clear obstacles ahead of you. So whenever you are dispatched with one of these wheel brake units deactivated, that has to be taken into account to make sure that you can clear that obstacle. And so there are weight limitations to that. If you are above a certain weight, you may not be able to take off from that particular runway with that wheel brake unit deactivated, because you may not comply with that second segment climb requirement.
Yeah. And I thought of 2 instances where it could be something other than what you were just talking about.
What's that?
Some airplanes, the brakes can get really, really warm. Hot days, heavy weights, that kind of thing, extended taxi out times and that kind of thing, and maybe a combination of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need to leave the landing gear extended for a little while for the brakes to cool off before you retract the landing gear, because again, you don't want a overheated brake system, wheel system in your wheel wells. And so I do remember there was a couple of times where I had to do that, which felt really weird because we were just so automatically used to like positive rate, gear up, boom. But not doing that sometimes was kind of weird. And the other is if it's like you're taking off in cluttered, contaminated runways, a lot of slush and ice and stuff like that. sometimes our procedures called for us to leave the gear down for a little bit longer just to allow some of that stuff to drop off in a way before you retracted the gear. And maybe it was just only for the airplanes that I was flying at the time. Maybe those procedures aren't applicable to a lot of other fleets. But I do know that especially the narrow body Airbuses, they have an issue, I think, a lot with overheated brakes and landing, wheels and that kind of thing. And they even have some
Brake
of the
fans,
airplanes
right?
are fitted with fans to help dissipate some of that heat. But if they don't have the fans, I think they sometimes leave them extended for a little bit longer than you would normally think they should, and then they bring them up. Because I've seen the same thing, Steve, where I've looked at a airplane taking off and going, well, why do they still have the gear down? And then all of a sudden the gear starts retracting. So that could be another couple of
and you don't want I'm sorry, Steffi, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you don't want hot brakes up in the landing gear bay, because what's right next to that? It's fuel. I remember there's this accident back in the day. I think it was Swiss Air. It was a Caravelle. I think it was a Caravelle in Zurich. The captain had this brilliant idea that he thought he'd clear the fog out of the runway by riding the brakes all the way down the runway, back taxi, and then take off. And then so he was taxiing with high power while holding the brakes. Brakes overheated, took off, put the gear up, and then the plane blew up afterwards. Yeah, so that's not good. So you want cool brakes.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
I did. Yeah, explain that one to the insurance company.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I never put the gear up on the aircraft that I currently fly.
Is it because you forget, or why? What's going on there?
You can't.
So I was taught to touch the brakes on all the little airplanes that I've flown that retract also, but on the DC-3, I've had a couple of people tell us, so there's a snubber up in the landing gear well, and we've had people tell us not to touch the brakes, because if you when you retract the gear, if the wheels and tires are so big and we've got the boosted brakes, if you apply the brakes too hard, you will spin the tire on the wheel and cause issues. So when we retract the gear in that airplane, the gear comes up and there's a snubber, right? It's like a thick like fabric type of thing with steel plates on it, and as the wheel comes up, it touches that, and that slows the wheel to a stop as it goes up.
Right, and we have the same thing on the nose landing gear of every airplane I've ever flown.
Yeah.
In fact, I can only think of maybe, I think there used to be, and it used to be an option actually on certain 727s. The nose landing gear had a wheel brake assembly, but most airplanes don't. But to your point, Nick, there, the plane of retraction of that main landing gear on the DC-3
is not fighting the gyroscopic.
Right. It's along the longitudinal axis of the airplane. Right. So you're not fighting any gyroscopic forces that need the wheel to be stopped prior to retraction. So, but yeah, exactly. It's the same thing on the planes I've flown.
The 727-200s at Delta, I think, were equipped, or some of them were equipped with those nose wheel brakes. But over time, maintenance just disconnected the whole system. It was just more hassle than it was worth trying to maintain them. All right. Let's do number 6, some feedback from Ian, and involves a mosquito restoration, and not the little tiny things that are buzzing.
Yeah, I was going to say, why would you want to restore a mosquito?
I know.
I find myself sweating and trying to kill those things all the time.
Oh no, I actively pay a company to try to get rid of them.
Exterminate them.
And it doesn't work very well, but
You're so
it's better
mean.
than I know. There's still plenty.
Let's see. The 4th de Havilland mosquito restored in New Zealand by Mosquito Aircraft Restorations and AvSpecs T-43 November ZZ2308 was featured on the New Zealand Current Affairs TV show 7 Sharp on March 21st, 2024. The piece, hosted by Michael Holland, interviews MAR and AvSpecs employees and test pilot Steve Hinton, and pays tribute to the late Glenn Powell, who was the mastermind of the modern-day production line of mosquito rebuilds in New Zealand. And we have and I'm not going to play the entire video because it's quite long, actually. But we do have, I'll play a little bit of it just to kind of give you a taste of it, and then you can look in the show notes and see how you can watch the entire thing on YouTube. That's kind of loud.
The legs belong to a young man who can't quite believe his luck.
Being 20, you know, I never would have thought this in my life, you know. Childhood dream.
So you found where you want to be on your hands and knees in a confined cockpit?
Oh yeah, never thought I'd actually be in this position at all in my life. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And equally unbelievable, this the latest of only 5 airworthy World War II de Havilland mosquitoes anywhere in the world. 4 of them reborn in exacting detail here at AvSpecs on the Ardmore airfield.
Oh, that's just awesome. You know, it's pure awesomeness.
What still amazes me, this is a pretty humble little workshop.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it may not look like much, but we like to show the world what we can do down here, you know. It's real neat.
The mozzie's bitten you and you've clearly got the fever.
I have. I've been scratching that itch for quite a while now. But it's a good itch to have, I tell you.
One of the best looking aircraft ever built. Smooth, fast, you know, 2 V12s. What more can you ask for?
And of the 4 locally restored machines, NZ2308 has a special poignancy. Its wooden fuselage and wing, built largely by the late Glyn Powell, who, over many years, tracked down the ever-important original plans, allowing him to create the moulds to shape the fuselage.
That is pretty incredible. I will leave you for the rest of it. Definitely worth watching, but making all these wooden or the molds for the wooden fuselage, I mean, that's beautiful. Just looking at it from, you know, before it's painted is pretty amazing. It looks like an old classic boat. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, let's see. So the aircraft was originally built for the Royal Australian Air Force, sold to the Royal New Zealand Air Force in 1947, becoming a November Z 2308, or I should say November Zulu 2308. Upon retirement in the early 50s, it had flown 479 hours, 35 minutes, and went on to become derelict at a South Island farm before being rescued by museum volunteers and taken to Auckland. Later, it was purchased by a syndicate. And it goes on to talk about this this amazing airframe that was restored. And so, Nick, this is kind of your bailiwick. You're very active in flying historical aircraft. Betsy's Biscuit bomber, a C-47 with quite a history. So, what do you think about this?
I think this is awesome. So there was. This is, like they mentioned, this production line of mosquito rebuilds. And, you know, one of the things about this airplane, because it was all wood, it was a precursor to like modern day composites, because they were using plywood and balsa wood, laminated wood structures. I think the nacelles have some metal in them, and I'm sure the fuselage does too, but I think the wings were all wood, or at least mostly wood spars and everything. It's kind of built up like a Stearman or a stagger wing. But because of the susceptibility to the environment, I think due to the wood structure, they didn't survive as well. And there was a crash of a mosquito in Duxford, I think maybe in the early 90s. That was the last flying mosquito. And then there were no more flying mosquitoes for until maybe 2015. And this place in New Zealand started restoring mosquitoes, and it was basically rebuilding all of the wood structure from scratch, and then salvaging the metal fittings and the castings and everything from previous airframes. And now there's maybe 4 or 5 flying in the world, but just an awesome airplane, really fast. 2 Merlins, so it's like a Mustang. It's like a pair of Mustangs going by in formation. And there have been some cool mosquito movies. There's a movie called Mosquito Squadron, and then 633 Squadron is a really good World War II movie. It was made in probably the mid 60s. Lots of like real flying scenes. And Cliff Robertson was in it. So he was a well-known American actor who was also a well-known American actor who's also well-known for being a pilot in real life. So that's a cool movie to check out.
Like Harrison Ford.
Right. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Cliff Robertson was the one that started the Young Eagles program. He was I think the founding chairman, or he was the first Young Eagles chairman, which is a role that Harrison Ford either followed him in or held after him. So
cool. I think I saw a YouTube video a few years back. They were flying, probably the one you were talking about in England. I remember, I think it was a Mosquito that he was flying and talking about how difficult it was to fly. I can't remember why, though. The controls were a little sluggish or disconnected, or weren't acting as quickly as like a fighter would react. Yeah, but maybe I'm confusing that with a different older World War II aircraft. I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you, Ian, for sending that in. And again, the link to this YouTube video will be in the show notes. Do you need to leave us now, Nick?
Yeah, I probably need to bail out of here.
Okay.
So sorry for that.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yep. I was glad to catch you guys for a bit.
Have a great evening.
Always great to see you.
Yep.
See you, Nick.
Our best to your family.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. Let's see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, why don't we do those just to make sure that we're doing them while we can, then we'll go backwards. Okay. Let's do 11. And oh yeah, definitely want to do this. In fact, I had already queued it up in my keynote. So let's see. This is from Mark Anderson, not Captain Nick's brother in Canada, but right. That's why I'm saying it's not that Mark. Let's see. He says, "Hi, Jeff, Nick, Liz, Steph, and the rest of the crew. Back on APG 605, you had some feedback from Gus Science, or Science. How would you? I'm not sure if I know how to pronounce Gus's last name. I'll say Science, like science.
Perfect.
I don't know. He's a Georgia pilot based in Buenos Aires. No, it's a GA pilot, and he's not Georgia.
Georgia the country or Georgia the state?
or general aviation. Your choice.
Exactly.
With details of a video of a flight he'd made to Patagonia. He was the guy with the pilot hat. Yeah, I love that. This happened just before a trip I was making to Buenos Aires on the way to holiday in Antarctica. Thought it would be fun to meet up with Gus and perhaps even take in some flying in Argentina. Thanks to the awesome global reach of APG, helped by Liz, and a bit of Slack, we managed to get a Slack, the semi social media kind of thing. We managed to get in touch with each other. We met up for a lovely meal in Buenos Aires. The photo is attached that we're seeing right now in the video, and we'll have that in the show notes. As you can see, I wore my full APG regalia, so there was no danger of Gus missing me. We had a great time sharing flying anecdotes. Gus has just had an amazing new flying adventure. More details of this on the audio feedback attached. And he says, feel free to cut out my rambling intro. Nah, I don't want to cut out anything. This is great. So we're going to play that audio from Mark and Gus. Yeah, we're going to put that right here.
Hello, Captain Jeff, Captain Nick, Dr. Steph, Liz, Nick Camacho, and any other APG team members that are there. As you all know, APG has a way of getting pilots together around the world, and It's Mark Anderson, not Nick's brother here, and unusually I'm down in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and I'm here in a restaurant with my lovely wife, but perhaps more importantly with Gus Science, who is an Argentinian general aviation pilot, who's been kind enough to meet up with my wife Sarah and I this evening to tell us a bit about flying in Argentina. So I'll pass you over to Gus now to tell you a bit about his latest flying adventure. But as always, thanks to the APG team for allowing people like us to get in touch and have these great aviation conversations around the world. I'll pass you over to Gus now.
Hello everyone, and thanks especially to Liz who handed me Mark's contact information so we can get together here. So yeah, we are here having a lovely time and sharing wonderful aviation stories. And I just got back recently from a flight down to Ushuaia. It was a 6,600 kilometers adventure that took nearly 40 hours of flight in my PA-28 and nearly 2 weeks. And we've been following the route of the postal company that used to do this route, the Aeropostale, which started back in France in 1930s. So we will attach a link to a YouTube video so you can watch that little adventure. I hope you like it. And yeah, we will sharing a lot of stories and having a lot of fun. So thanks again to the APG for giving us the opportunity to get together and meet on this opportunity. So back to you.
Thanks, Gus. Well, that's about all from Buenos Aires. I'll just get my wife Sarah to say hello.
Hiya.
I think that's all she's willing to say. Best wishes to you all. Buenas noches. So that's probably not say it properly, Gus.
That's perfect. Buenas noches, and back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for throwing it back to the studio, Mark and Gus in Argentina. That's awesome. It's so pleasing to hear when people get together outside of the official APG meetup world, like we had in Charlotte a couple of weeks back. And it's always so much fun to hear your get-togethers, and especially nice when you record some audio and send in the feedback to share with the rest of the community. Sounds like a great trip. Let's see. Mark went on to say in his email feedback, I didn't manage to fly with Gus, but did manage to get a flight in a PA-28 down in Ushuaia. And he says, clue for Jeff, pronunciation, Ushuaia. No. Why is there an R? Why do some people, some countries, put an R in words that aren't in the word? And even Gus, I heard him say Ushuaia, not Ushuaia. Anyway, so I'm going to say Ushuaia, and I'm going to click my own bell. There we go. Let's see. The place that Gus had just been to, that was pretty spectacular. And I think that, Liz, that's probably the flight. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Antarctica was awesome. Loads of penguins. Opposing Bases would be at home there. Yeah, so if you're an Opposing Bases podcast listener, you'll understand the reference to penguins. And again, that's from Mark Anderson, not Nick's brother, and I know that. That's why. Did you run a race down there that way?
I did on the Chile side of Patagonia,
Wow.
in a national park. I did a half marathon. Gosh, I don't even remember what year that was now. 2019, maybe? It's been a while. I think it holds the distinction as being the slowest half marathon I've ever run, because there was like a 40-mile-an-hour direct headwind the entire time. And it was...
Yeah, but the way back was really fast.
Well, unfortunately, it was a point-to-point course, and it only ran into the headwind.
Ooh.
Like, it was so strong that,
Okay
it was a very
on
hilly
your
course. It wasn't high elevation, so that wasn't the issue, but it was hilly. But but the wind was so strong that I couldn't run any faster downhill. I just felt like I was being held back by the wind. I don't know.
What was the temperature like?
It was nice, actually. I don't know. It was probably in the 50s Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there.
It's gorgeous. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Oh, absolutely. And Ushuaia itself is just out of this world. It's just amazing. Even the airport they have there, and just it's just hard to describe how pretty it is.
I haven't been to Ushuaia. We flew into Punta Arenas.
Punta, it's on the Chile side. Yeah, but it's really
kind of cold.
See what you
bam. There we go.
I'll be here all week. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, he mentioned in his audio feedback the video that Gus has just produced. I'm just going to play just a little snippet of it. And there's this pilot hat that Gus likes to wear. That's part of his branding. And so I think that's pretty cool. So here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit. Oh, yeah. Funk. I love funk. I could sit here all day and listen to this. Yeah. Here we go. And then now Steph's going to do a translation.
Nuestro viaje comienza en Buenos Aires, la vibrante capital de Argentina.
What does he say?
Our trip begins in Buenos Aires.
Oh, it's Rick.
The vibrant Argentinian capital.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stop it. I mean, it's an amazing video. Yeah, so we're gonna have that link to that in our show notes if you want to check it out. And then Rick can watch it and understand every single word that he's saying in it.
I can.
Yeah. Oh, there weren't any subtitles in it? Maybe the one on YouTube has the subtitles. I don't know.
You just need to run it through like Apple Podcasts and see if
there
it'll
we go.
spit out some AI.
Oh, I wonder if that's going to be an interesting test to see if
That
it
is gonna be an interesting test.
ends up translating.
It won't translate it, but I bet you it just does basically the
Or
dictation
may just
in
do
Spanish.
the Spanish, yeah. Cool. Anyway, so thank you so much, Mark, for sending in the feedback, and Gus for participating and hosting.
Truer words were never spoken.
What's this?
If you wear a hat that says pilot, aren't you giving up the opportunity to tell people you're a pilot?
Yeah, you want to
No,
tell
you can
them
still
you're
tell
a
them.
pilot.
Oh, you can, well,
can
that's right. You
still
can.
tell them. And you can point to
You
it.
can like really.
Hey, did I tell you that I'm a pilot? You may not have noticed my hat that says pilot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And then you have to wear your stethoscope, Steph, when you're wearing your pilot hat and your stethoscope. Did I mention I'm also a doctor?
Oh, stewardess, I think the gentleman sitting next to me is a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and a
Wear
runner's
your
medal, marathon medals.
But see, now Mark can wear the pilot hat, and he can say that he's a doctor too, so he can wear the stethoscope.
Yes.
So
Does he have any marathon medals though?
I'm not sure. No.
Maybe he might. He might.
He might actually.
Is that a
All
doctor thing you guys run?
Run from their
No.
patients. Okay, number 19. We're getting there. We're scrolling down here. 19. Okay. This is from John, and he's sending in some feedback about airline Therese. Hi, Jeff, and the rest of the APG crew. Oh, that's tires. I'm sorry. He misspelled it. We here in the U.S. and I think Canada spell it TIRES. Okay. Sorry, Liz.
We'll convert you on all the other American spellings here eventually too.
Yeah.
Your OU,
Yeah, we still have all those extra
things and-
U's all over the
It
place.
only takes time. It's just time.
You're on the same continent as us. You can't escape it.
All right. He says, many thanks to you all for such an entertaining and informative show. Again, did he send this to the right podcast? I don't know. When I started listening, 3 hours seemed such a long duration for a podcast. But now each episode flies by. Pun intended. Wait. There we go. Anyway, on to my little question. Why is it that airliner tires and GA aircraft, in fact, only have straight treads and not the complicated patterns that road cars have? Thanks again. Take care, all. John. That's a good question, John. I'm not even sure I know the answer, but I think, let me think if I can think of somebody that might know something about this kind of thing. There we go. Oh, we have the Wikipedia.
Put me on the spot.
I have
right
a
here.
guess. I should like write it down and take a picture before Rick starts talking about it. But I'm curious. Go ahead.
I mean, it's a great question, and I remember asking the same question when I was a kid, and it makes a lot of sense. So basically, these lines on the tires, on the treads, they act as channels for water to drain, and so basically to maximize the area of the tire that's in contact with the taxiway or runway, just basically to increase your coefficient of drag, your traction between the tire and the taxiway and runway. Interestingly enough, a lot of runways, basically, mostly at international airports, are what are called grooved. So the runway itself will have these grooves cut across it to help water drain and increase the friction between the runway and the tire itself. So that is what I am thinking on that regard. What say you, Jeff and Steph?
So I wrote down straight line high speed, but also with regards to water. So you're not going to be doing a lot of turning, cornering in general. So you don't need the complicated pattern of channels that you would see on a car tire is my,
That sounds reasonable.
my common sense guess. But same thing, you want to, maximize the amount of water that's able to be channeled past the tire and not to create a hydroplaning event.
Yeah, there's probably not a big need for a lot of friction sideways.
Right.
No. Yeah, like you would have in a car. And then even think about a car. Most of the time, it's a reasonably mild tread pattern. If it has more than just the longitudinal grooving in it, but and then you look at an off-road tire, and those things are like big chunks, and they're all kinds of different angles and everything else for it.
The tires on my 4Runner, it looks like it's got chunks missing out of it. It's it's very, very.
And it sounds like it when you're driving it.
Exactly, it does. It really it really does. Yeah, you're not kidding. It really does. Yeah. But
Neil Landwarm, as Jeff will know, F1 slicks don't have tread at all. Yeah. Now they do have wets or intermediates that do have tread, but because when it starts raining and it gets wet in F1, they continue driving, which I think is nuts.
I know, it's insane.
Well, AJ, of course, Rick asked the questions we ask as adults when he was a small child. Yeah, so he said, well, could you please explain to me?
Well, and that's also when I learned that your hydroplane speed is the square root of the tire pressure times 9.
Yeah, 9 times the square root of tire pressure. That's the way I remember it. Yeah.
I'm trying to look up to see if I can figure out what type of vintage aircraft it was that I saw at a museum once upon a time that had very skinny tires, but with little like punch holes all around it, as opposed to grooved surface. And
I remember in airplane museums, now that you mentioned it, Steffi, what was it, the B-29 in DC at Udvar-Hazy? I think that one, it didn't have the longitudinal tracks. It actually had, it looked like a cross pattern.
I don't think it had anything to do with religion.
No, I don't think it's a religious tire. No,
I found it. It was a Bell P-39 Era Cobra.
The P-39. What is that?
Apparently not a very good airplane, but for a variety of reasons, which we gave them all to the Russians. The tires, right? But yeah, the tires were tiny, and the museum didn't really know. Like, I asked about it, and they didn't know why they had tiny little tires with a bunch of little like holes. Not all the way through, obviously, but instead of like a groove surface, they look like little punches in the tire all the way around. I don't know.
Yeah, Alpha Juliet says thread is purely for water displacement and, I'm sorry, treads. What did I say, thread? Well, okay. Tread is purely for water displacement and removal. But I think, let's see, and he also said the little dots on slicks are for tread depth measurements. Okay, at least for the car world.
Yeah, I don't know that it was for that, but yeah,
But
maybe it was.
I think that iHaul Boxes, as he usually does, comes up with the most pertinent and intelligent questions of all. Why is it that road vehicles don't come with propellers and wings?
Precisely.
That's a good question.
Or jet engines. Yeah, that's a good one, Liz.
That is a great question.
Yeah. Oh, iHaul Boxes also says, at Neil, my aircraft has slicks too with canvas protruding. Oh.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone above our comedic threshold. You're just too funny for us, iHaul Boxes. Yeah, anyway. So that's a good question, John. And
Yeah,
I
that is a
think
good
we made up a really interesting answer. Okay, now we're going back. Yeah, let's swing back to 7. How are we doing on time? We okay, cool. All right, we're knocking them out. That's good. But we don't want to knock all of them out, though, do we, Liz? Oh, okay. Okay. This is from Ben. As I was listening to the show, I kept thinking that it makes no sense that Boeing wouldn't have installed an interlock on that switch, the 787 seatback switch thing. Wouldn't have installed an interlock on that switch to make it inoperable if a person isn't sitting in the seat. It wouldn't be hard, potentially only require a software update, or it could probably be accomplished in an analog sense by using a weight switch in series to the rocker switch on the back of the seat. That just seems way too complicated. And we can't have seats where it senses if somebody's sitting in it before it does something. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, most cars have that kind of sensor, don't they? Upon further reflection and remembering your previous discussion on the subject, Camacho's suggestion it was placed in anticipation of delay of retirement age. Well, it might have been, actually. Another question bubbled forth. Could the switch be placed in case of a pilot incapacitation event? Does the pilot operating handbook have a specific instruction for, or have specific instructions for removing an incapacitated pilot from the seat? Presumably, your airline will have procedures on dealing with this, but is removal of the hopefully undeceased pilot planned for? Love to hear your thoughts. Bravo, Zulu. Or we like to refer to these people as Ben. That's, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure if I think it was more of just a convenience if they needed to move the seat.
It is because on the 777 is so the 787 is basically everything the 777 had wrong in it, and then they fixed it, right? So one of the things being the seat, and the reason behind the switch in the seat being there is because the way to move the seat back and forth on the 777 is by you have to get up close to the seat, between the seat and the center pedestal, and stick your hand in there quite a ways. Look for the switch, find the switch, press the switch, and come back with the switch pressed in a very awkward position, leaning over, almost losing your balance and falling all over yourself while the seat comes back. Versus having the seat at the top there, the top of the headrest of the backrest, and just open that little cap there, and then pressing the switch. And
sorry, Jeff,
what's that?
Question.
Thank you. I was wondering why would the seats be up anyway to begin with? I mean, when the person was in the seat, they moved it all the way back to get out. Why is it moved all the way?
Because a lot of times there is no way to put your flight kit next to your seat if the seat's all the way back, because it translates aft and out.
What's a flight kit? Okay.
Your briefcase. Come on, Jeff.
Your cooler full of snacks for your
Exactly.
extra long haul flight.
Flight kits.
Were you?
Oh, wait, that's just me
Yeah.
all day in the airplane without getting out of it. Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna go get one.
He has an
I've just
actual
been
flight
using
kit?
a backpack for all
This thing.
Oh my gosh! Now that's a flight kit. Oh my goodness gracious!
That thing can.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that a
no way of
Halliburton?
put. What's no, that's a Remova.
Oh.
Old as
Okay.
Old as all heck. It's been around for a long time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So there's it's kind of tricky trying to put your flight kit or your briefcase or whatever the case is if the seat is all the way aft and translated outward, which is where it usually would sit when nobody's in it. And so yeah, it's tricky getting in there and trying to move the seat aft.
Okay, I need to defend myself. AJ says Jeff immediately dumped all of his aviation penguins the day he retired. Well, first of all, I'd argue I probably dumped many of them before I retired. But,
In my defense,
I was trying to help you out. I told them it was a slippery iceberg. I don't know.
but no, I guess the point I was trying to make is that those big giant, I don't know how many. Rick, do most of the people that you fly with still have the big giant things like you have?
Well, yeah. The thing
cases,
is that
flight
so the guys that don't and the gals that don't will usually carry around more than one thing because they have the thing for their headsets and the thing for their iPad and then one thing and then a backpack and then this. So I'd like to. I personally, it's my personal preference to just carry a flight kit with everything I need in there. And my rollerboard. That's it. Just 2 items.
I just only carry. Well, if I was going to be doing a podcast, I had 3 bags. One of the soft-sided gear bags that I had didn't have any aviation and stuff in it, but it's an aviation gear bag, but it had all the podcast gear in it. And then my backpack, which is so when the transition was made from all the JEPs to the iPad EFBs, I just started carrying a backpack. It was just easier for me to manage the backpack, and I didn't have to, honestly, when you have how many volumes of JEPs did we have to carry?
Too many.
We must have had 3 or 4 big, giant, fat JEP volumes all the time, and it wouldn't have worked.
For us, those used to stay in the jet.
Not us. We had our own.
Yeah. So and then we had a person whose job not only was it to update and take the old set off and put a new set on, but to laminate each and every approach plate and page. Even
laminate?
Even the en route charts were laminated for us.
We never had laminated ones.
Yeah, I'm talking.
And guess who was the
03, 04.
one was responsible for keeping all those 2-week
Every 56 days or something.
cycle. That was like the worst part of my job.
Yeah, man.
Now I know
like 56
there are a lot worse things than having to do a Jeppesen update every 2 weeks, and you could pay people to do it. There were people that would, you give them $20-$30 a month and they would do it for you. But
oh, you mean like your CBTs?
CPTs,
computer-based training.
Oh no, I don't. What, can you do that?
No,
I never paid anybody to do that.
You can't do that.
I've heard a guy saying that they had their kids would do it. It's just like, okay, just punch this button every once in a while. Just
next.
No, I never did that. Honestly, I never did that. I always did those on my own. Anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting. Okay, but I was just kind of pimping Rick a little bit for his big giant flight kit, because I think most of us stopped. Most of the guys, at least at Delta, that were my peers, didn't continue.
Well, this was not that
big.
big. This one's a smallish one. My watch.
I was talking about your watch. Yeah, that's not your big one. That's not the one that has the two the
ELT and all that
ELTs
stuff
in it, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't wear that one as much anymore because it gets banged around, and especially now in the 7.4, we're talking about how small that flight deck is, and how close up against the window I am in the flight deck, and it's a pretty expensive watch. So I don't like to bang that one around too much. But this one's kind of nice because look at this. I'll show you. This one, if you look there. It's got a little logo for Acme Giant. There.
Oh, nice.
It does.
Wow,
So
it's customized.
That's a customized Acme
Very
Giant
nice.
watch that that we had Breitling made us make for us. So yeah, that was
And
nice.
they just gave them to you.
Well, if whoever bought into
To
the
exchange
program,
for some like dollars, probably.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's an exchange program.
You had to.
Mhm, yeah, it's one of those exchange programs. Yeah. it wasn't out of the kindness of their hearts.
Aw.
So, yeah, I know.
I'm disappointed. AJ says, how do you fold up a laminated route chart to put on your knee board?
Very carefully.
Seems complicated. Yeah. The last time I had a knee board, AJ, was in the Air Force, and I don't miss them.
I don't
I don't know. I will say this because I'm that person that Rick's talking about that has all their stuff in a million different small bags. And part of that actually is for practical purposes because there's only a few small things that I actually need in the airplane with me, especially since the door opens and they need to be secured in certain places. But this is why I had to buy, in my case, air tags to put into my wallet because I was constantly leaving it behind, like in the glove box of the airplane at the end of the day. Because I might have it with me, but then I would forget to take it out with me. So I'd have some way to remind me to not leave all my stuff everywhere. But one container would be a way to mitigate that, I think.
You see, for me, my wallet is my phone. So the wallet is in the back of the phone.
Yeah, but
Problem with that is that if you lose your phone, you lose your wallet.
Yes.
But you have to be, then that's why you have to be careful with, where you leave your, like for me, traveling for, 2-3 weeks out of the month, less is more. The less stuff I have to keep a track of, just the easier it is.
So I put my phone on a mount on the yoke, and the wallet on the back of it, I think, would interfere with that, to be very honest. I know it's pretty thin, but I don't think the mount is deep enough.
So many ways to go. And it's amazing, Ben, your question, prompted all these other ancillary.
Sorry, we have a lot of tangents.
All these digressions?
Mm-hmm.
All these digressions, yes. Okay, Liz is trying to say something to us in the comms. Yes. Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Let's jump to 10. Rick
Good segue.
Kowalczyk sent us this regarding hotel and travel tips. I'm writing in today about the discussion you had about... Oh, didn't need to read that sentence. I just said that, basically. Over my 25 years plus of doing this job, I have certain expectations of each hotel. He's an airline pilot. Just basic stuff, really, as I will discuss here. We in this industry spend so much time in hotels, they are truly a home away from home. But according to my wife, she says I am a hotel snob. So what follows are my snobby items. Not only the thing that he's saying about home away from home. I usually, as I open my hotel door, I'd say, "Hi, honey, I'm home," and never get a response, which is pretty much the same as when I actually went to my real home. Anyway, first off, our contract states that our room should not be on the first floor. It should be away from the ice machine elevator, and not a handicapped room.
Same.
I've noticed that most hotels usually put crews, all airlines, on the same floor next to each other or same section of the hotel, usually a floor up or down. Our contracts, as far as hotels are concerned, are pretty much the same. Now, I'll digress from this or stop for a moment just to give you my anecdotal experience. There were some hotels that was absolutely true, and there were others where we were just spread out all over the place. I don't know why. It didn't seem like there was any rhyme or reason for that. Anyway, back to Rick's feedback. Once I walk into the room, I'll do a quick check of the following things, not in any particular order. Do I have an ironing board? Is there a remote? Oh, that's so he can practice.
Before you move from the ironing board, everybody knows that I'm an ironing board snob.
Yeah.
The iron is big time because, there's an iron, but is the iron clean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like, I don't know who the hell is grilling grilled cheese on the iron, because it's like you look at that thing and it's like...
I don't know what else you're supposed to do with an iron. Apparently it's for your clothing. I was not given
It's a hot plate.
instruction. Yeah, it's great.
It's like, what the hell? So iron, but is it clean?
Because the worst is when you go, your nicely crisp, brand new white, flight shirt, and you go put the iron down, and
you have
then
a nice
you ruin it,
black,
and then
smudgy mark on it.
Exactly, and then anyway, that's on the iron.
Steph, so
Yes.
what he's talking about are these white, nice fabric shirts that have these collars, and you can make them look really nice and never mind. It's too hard to explain.
I'm not understanding any of those words.
I know, I didn't think so. Okay, is there going back to who's this again? Rick. Let's see, not you, Rick. A different Rick.
Different Rick. Yeah.
Let's see, where in the heck was I? Oh, is there a remote for the TV, and does it work?
Nah, I don't watch TV. No.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, more and more, I think fewer and fewer people are.
I never turn the TV on anymore. I used to, but not anymore.
Me too. That used to be one of the first things, just to even have like this background noise.
Background noise, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I'm the same way. I use my screen that I carry with me for my screen, stuff. Anyway, log into Wi-Fi. If I have to type in my name, they usually have messed mine up. His last name is Kowalczyk. A bunch of consonants all together at the very
I know your pain. I know your pain. Trust
Kowalczyk, I think is the way you pronounce it. Anyway, and honestly, for that, I got to the point that I was just using my my phone's hotspot for everything. I wasn't even logging into the hotel Wi-Fi anymore. Do I have a fridge? Is it working? Does the phone work? I've had problems with all these over the course of time. I've never had a problem with the phone at all. That one episode.
Just the one that beeps.
It's beeping when you disconnect it. That was funny. As far as the bathroom, is there a shower head? He says, laugh out loud. Yep. Woke up one morning to take a shower and it was missing. But the water still comes out. It's just not in a nice spray pattern.
It's kind of like a hose.
Yeah, like a hose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It does the trick. I let the front desk know about that. Yeah, because they think that you're the one that stole it, probably. Mainly looking for the bath items, towels, soaps, etc. Big no-nos are never use the glass cups. Always use the paper ones with the coffee maker. Don't use the coffee maker, as you all have discussed, because
that is 101. Never do that.
I used it all the time. Maybe that's my problem. Finally, don't let the door slam on your way out or in. Yeah, that's for common courtesy right there.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it was hard to remember, especially if you were flying late at night or wee hours of the morning, and you're just like, why? I'm up. Why isn't everybody else? Sometimes you have to get in that mindset. Oh yeah, like regular real people, like normal people, are probably sleeping at these hours, and I should probably keep the level of my volume of my voice down. And don't slam the doors. As far as security in a room, always lock the door and use the door chain, etc. I've heard that some crew members use some extra security layers, such as bringing their own portable door jamb and lock. Over the course of my career, I've had people try to get into my room, and I've walked into occupied rooms. How the hotels can issue a key to an occupied room is beyond me. However, all airlines still have a problem issuing duplicate seat assignments, so there is that. I've also walked into rooms that have not been cleaned. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer when that happens. I've been to hotels where the fire alarm has gone off, walked back to one once and saw part of the building on fire, and have been in an earthquake or two. Each of those are a story on their own. So far as this stuff goes, have your things that you really need in one spot if you need to get out quickly, especially your room key. Every time one of these things has happened, there is always a long line of people waiting to get new room keys. Snobbery over, laugh out loud. And he closes with saying, I'm sorry, I had something ready to go. He says, now I'm looking for some shrubbery.
Who are you? We are the knights who say, neat. We want a shrubbery. What?
Keep up the great work on the show. Again, Rick Kowalczyk. And of course, that's a reference to the amazing, one of the best movies of all time, Monty Python's The Search for the Holy Grail. Is that what it's called?
A
Holy Grail, I think.
classic.
Or-
Yeah.
Or the Holy Grail,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, those are all fantastic points, and I do a
Yeah.
lot of the same things.
That's not snobbery at all. I don't.
No, at all. It's common sense. It's good stuff, man. You know, the room key thing, I'll put that in my wallet slash phone, so that's in there. Passport and all important stuff is all, you know, in my brick over there. That's ready to go should I need it. And security stuff, that's I don't carry my own security thing, but because what would be one more thing to carry around, which I don't need. But yeah, I know a lot of people that do. So yeah, all great points. Absolutely.
Tim Van Ram says, don't forget to figure out which one of the shampoo is the shampoo before getting into the shower. Yeah, we talked about that on an earlier show where if you don't, you know, if you're like me and you have, you need glasses to see things printed on bottles, and especially the bottles that they're using now in like the big giant bottles, you know, so they don't have the little ones anymore, on the wall of the bathroom shower or whatever. And it's like they use a print that is just almost the same exact color as the bottle itself. So it's like, you know,
zero contrast to it.
Yeah, no contrast.
Especially if
at
the
all.
bottle's like almost out of whatever's supposed to be inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you start just pumping them and going, okay, which one? Oh, that looks like conditioner. That looks like, well, that could be body wash. It could be shampoo. I don't know. Probably does the same.
It's all
thing.
soap. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It really is all soap.
And I can't, every month, I do it every, at least once a month. I would go out to meet up with somebody for down at the bar or go to dinner or whatever. And as soon as the door clicked shut, I go, key. Dang it, I did it again.
The other thing I do is I stay in so many hotels all the time that you oftentimes just can't remember your room number. So I'll take a picture of my
that's a
room
good
number.
idea. Yeah.
You don't want to write it down anywhere. Anything. Just take a picture of it, and then that way you know where to go back to. You know, when at the end of the night.
Yeah, and Tim makes a good point. Don't leave your handgun in the room when you leave.
No, keep it with you.
Honestly, that was the major reason why I didn't sign up for the FFDO program, because my wife Linda said, Jeff, are you thinking about doing the Federal Flight Deck Officer program, carrying a gun? And so I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. She goes, well, I don't think you should. And I said, why? She goes, well, you have a hard enough time keeping up with your wallet. So that just goes to what Tim Van Ram just said. Don't leave your handgun lying around somewhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gina has made a comment. Gina Calabresi. Is that the way you said that? I'm a little behind, but just wanted to mention that the tread of a tire is the rubber itself. The grooves for water displacement are called sipes.
Oh.
Or seepes. I
Never
don't know.
knew that either.
Sipes.
Did not know
Yeah. AJ, where are you, man? Is she right?
Very cool.
Yeah. What?
Very cool.
Bet you didn't know that, AJ. Huh?
Mhm.
Huh? By the way, AJ, thanks again for the he's a professional. He's a Porsche. Well, he's done all kinds of driving, professional race car driving, but now is one of the Porsche driving experience drivers. Oh, a Kerf also. I don't know. Is that just coming from Google now, Liz? Liz is Googling tire treads and grooves and Kerfs.
Research
and sipes.
department.
Yeah, exactly.
Staff. Anyway, well, we got to wrap it up. Darn it. Well, we got several knocked out there. We still have a bunch of great feedback from you all. So thank you so much for that. If you think of something you want to correct us or bring up something that we hadn't thought of or something entirely different, send it to feedback@airlinepilotguy.com. And we especially love audio feedback, like Mark sent and others. And you can attach that to your feedback@airlinepilotguy.com thing. and videos even are great. And that brings us to the place where you can find all this information, which is airlinepilotguy.com, our website. Information about how to contact us. We have a calendar that we're going to start putting more and more things on, and we're going to we also have merchandise. Again, I haven't had anybody contact me that wants to be our merchandise manager, but oh well. Let's see, what else? Information about the crew, which I think is mostly outdated, and I just remembered I need to update my bio. I'm sure we all do. But, you get the general idea.
Yeah, it still says 727 first officer.
In spirit. Anyway, there's a lot of good stuff there on the website. And emails, if you, as you know, or if you don't, you should. I'm about to enter and start my adventure in full-time traveling in a motorhome. And if you have a place that has a suitable place for me to park, like your driveway or in front of your house or in your living room. No, that you probably don't in your living room. But yeah, if you have a setup like that where and it doesn't have to have hookups, that would be nice, but you don't have to. Please send that information to rv@airlinepilotguy.com, and just tell us who you are, where you are, and contact information and restrictions and that kind of thing. And so that's going to be. We already have a bunch of people who have kind of signed up for the mooch docking plan. I just need to now take all these addresses, Liz, and make a map of it. Because I can look at the map and see where I am. And anyway, we're going to have fun with that. I can't wait to visit so many of you out there in person and have meetups all over the place. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, we're also on social media, and Steph's going to tell us about that.
Hey guys, you can head over to Facebook. That's facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. You can also find us on X. We are at APG Crew, and find some of our individual Twitter. Oh, sorry, X. That's going to be an old habit that dies real hard.
We're almost over it. Almost.
Nope. Find our individual handles pinned to the top of that page. And if you want to see Captain Nick's weekly show artwork, head over to Instagram. We're APG Crew. If you want to, hey, like, it was Mark and Gus down in Argentina, right? Had facilitated their meetup a little bit through Slack. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again. YouTube.com/airlinepilotguy to find all of the video recordings of the show.
Yeah, I know most of the people listening are listening to the audio only. But we do have video, and if you want to see why we're not on television, you can see us on YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. I think we're pretty darn good-looking people. You want to see my beard? You want to see Steph's beard? Is that what you said? I thought that's what I heard.
There you go.
Oh, no. Oh, shoot. Her beard's longer than mine. Just kidding. She does not have.
It's a contest, right? I heard it was a beard growing.
No. You never make a contest with Steph, because somehow she always wins. So, and in this case, we don't want you to win this one, Steph. So
I'll continue the weekly, daily skin routine.
Okay. Somebody is in my bathroom, you said? Oh, yeah. I hear the shower. Okay. Hang on. Hey, hello. Can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
That's okay. As always, we accept you just the way you are. And you're going to tell us now about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. Oh no, he's doing some manscaping.
Is that what he has to do for his beard?
That is
No,
skin
that's
routine.
that's manscaping his body.
Oh.
I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something you really don't want to see.
Yeah.
All right, and thank you. Big round of applause to our producer Liz. Yay! Thank you so much for
My
keeping
pleasure.
everything on track for the most part, and all the work that you do behind the scenes each and every week. We do appreciate you and all of that. And again, it was great to see Rick again.
Yeah, what a
2
treat.
weeks in a row.
Yeah.
2
Awesome.
weeks in a row. That's
Yeah,
a sort
I'm
of
trying to.
Super
I'm
awesome.
trying to.
record.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I'm trying to join you guys as much as possible here when
Nice.
I'm.
And you
on
sound
the road.
great, by the way.
Thank
That
you.
rig that you have there,
Yeah,
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, it's
It
working
all
out.
fits in that brick, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and let's see. Poppy is also has also joined us there
Yes.
on Liz's lap.
Home from the gas station, yeah.
Girl. Ah, there you go. She's taking a break. Industrious girl she is. She's
I
got a
know,
lot of
she
side
is.
gigs.
Poppy's all over the place.
She is.
And quite an entrepreneur.
Oopsie. Sorry.
Quite.
And yeah, so anything else to say before we do our final sign off?
Nope.
Okay.
Poppy's
Oh,
growling.
Poppy does
Poppy
have
Poppy's
something to
growling.
say.
She doesn't
Yeah,
like to go.
Trying to feed me, Mom.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we're going to let you go. Thanks, everybody, for especially those of you in the live audience. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, we're going to wish you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
We'll see you next time from somewhere over the world. I don't know where. We'll find out.
Bye, everybody.
Hey.
Okay.
All right. That worked out.
Turn off your recorder. I'm going to need help with titles. I have no titles saved here.
Uh-oh.
I think Micah's worked on some tired sipes. I don't know how Nick would do
Tired
that.
Nick's going to be like, what in the world?
Yes.
Nick usually goes, so what does that title mean
How about
again?
TYRED?
Well, it was only 2 days ago, Nick.
Sipes.
Tired, yeah.
Yeah, with tired with a Y.
Tired, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's an idea.
A part 169S check.
Okay.
It
No,
just says
part
part
69.
69.
That's
Part
check.
69.
Thanks,
Yeah.
I-Haul. That's
Is there
very-
a part there? It's got to be a part 69. That's one of my favorites. I'm not even sure exactly what it is.
I could say something so rude, but I will
know you
not.
could, and I want you to save it like you normally do for
Yeah.
off air.
Uh-huh. Hi, Arnie. Great Tuesday.
Hey, Arnie. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, long time no see.
Yeah. Still in Mississippi there, Columbus. Silly Sipes. Oh, that's kind of funny too. Anybody
What else did
anybody
we
else
talk
have any
about?
ideas?
Hold on. I'm going back through what we talked about here. Let's see.
Hey, Deanna. I usually don't look too much at the comments
Think
in the
about
chat room
mosquitoes.
'cause it's too distracting for me. Thank you,
Yeah,
Gina.
something about restoring
Thanks for being
mosquitoes, and
with
you
us.
could actually be working on real mosquitoes.
Let's see. R, S, and T checks. Because S is between R and T. Yeah.
Kind of like tired sipes.
You
Yeah.
like tired sipes?
I don't
What
know.
about-
It seems cryptic.
What about
Because no one's
groovy?
gonna-
Yeah.
What about groovy tires? Groovy tires.
Groovy.
Groovy.
Mosquitoes.
Oh, the thing about Tim talking about the dummy card for the lights, like the master for the light. I don't recall a heck of a lot of hotels using that kind of
It's
system.
becoming
Maybe it's
more common here now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very I mean, like in the UK and Europe.
Yeah.
Well, what are you talking about?
For the room for
You have to put your card in to
power,
turn the
put
lights
card
on.
in.
And they usually in those instances give you 2 cards, one to put in the.
Well, that's why you always hang on to at least just one old hotel room card. But
Yeah.
some hotels are getting really crafty where only the card for your room works in that particular slot. That's the case. Where the hell was I the other day? Where that was? Because I was in Brazil. Yeah. So I pulled out my old hotel card from my wallet here, and I put it in there. didn't do a thing. It had to be from that hotel.
A lot of times you can just like
assigned
put a
to
folded
my
up
room.
piece of paper in
really?
there too.
Yeah, it's like a little switch or something in there that senses the physical something.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give him what we got and see what he can do with it.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
Thanks,
Arnie says that he's before he retired, he spent hundreds and hundreds of nights in hotel rooms. He always took the souvenir pen. Now I have hundreds of non-working pens. Yay! Way to go!
With hotel names on them.
But lots of memories.
There you go.
Lots of memories.
Nobody can take those from you.
Thanks for the memories.
Okay, guys. Thanks
Bye, everybody.
for hanging with us.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.